Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to your Alpha live stream of round 7 of the 2020 Club 100 Sprints Championships, coming to you live from Whilton Mill Kart Circuit just outside of Daventry in Northamptonshire, England. My name is Howard Mitchell. I'm from Double Dash Motorsport Media, but also from Double Dash Motorsport Media as ever. Also in comms here, Mr. Andrew Mather. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Great to be back here at Whilton Mill. It's been a while since I've been in this building, but yeah, tricky day out there. It looks very, very nice, but let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, conditions are not easy for the drivers today. Very, very slippery out there this morning.
They are indeed, and also a problem that I can definitely attest to whilst driving to the circuit this morning, and one which is still very prevalent as a problem. Sun in the eyes. The sun is still very low here at the circuit. But yes, it is round 7 of 10. What? They've managed to fit 10 rounds into the disrupted year that was 2020? Yes. And we are on round 7 of 10, and we are going to be here to give you all of the live racing action. This is a test session at the moment, so don't worry, we're not missing any of the racing. So sorry, it's the warm-up laps, I should say, more accurately than a test session. And we are here to give you all of the action, supported today by Nanos Technology Solutions. Very happy to have them on board supporting our coverage of the championship today. And do please get in touch with us here in the box, hashtag Club100 Live, and we will be able to see that's on Twitter. But we will also be keeping an eye on the comments on YouTube.
And do share the stream out today as well, everybody, if you're watching. If you're tuning in to support a particular driver, or you're just tuning in because you like the look of it, thank you very much for joining us. But yeah, do share the stream out today. There's a lot going on out there in the world in motorsports, so we really do value your support. Should we get the first grid of the day in?
Yeah, let's
should we try and get that one done and that bit of housekeeping out the way, as this first heat is having its warm-up laps completed. So don't worry, you're not missing any competitive action at the moment. This is what we do at the start of the first time out for every single first round of heats. We give the drivers a chance to have a look at the track, but yeah, let's have a look at the grid. Here it is. Joe Holmes has only his second ever heats pole position. He's very happy about it. But he starts from pole position alongside Adam Wright on the front row. Dave Longman and Jeremy Deeks starts from row 2. Ben Bennyworth and Bill Taylor starts on row 3. Kurt Holmes and Craig Brown, who had some great praise earlier in the week on the internet. We'll talk about that later. He starts on row 4. Nick Trafford and Blake Templey are on row 5. Stephen Downs and Steve Lindley on row number 6. Mark Ridout, good to see him back, starts on row 7 alongside Karem Hijazi. Elliot News and Lewis McKinnon start on row 8. Jason Bear and Chris Solomon are on row 9. 18 karts in the field, Howard.
Absolutely. Now that we've done that grid, let's just talk a little bit about format. 2 Sprints Championships are run by Club 100 in 2020. They are the lightweight and the heavyweight championships, in order to ensure that we keep the number of drivers on site at any one time. We have this format this year where we do all of one and then all of the other, rather than alternating as we have done in the past. So at the moment it is heavyweights, and it will be the heavyweights for all of the morning's action and into the early afternoon, and then we should switch across over into the lightweights. We're going to have 12 heats of 8 minutes in length. Each driver will take part in 3 out of those 12, and their points across those heats will determine their grid positions in the final. The grids for the heats are randomised so that each driver has the same average grid position across their 3 heats. We'll have the points across those heats. There will be championship points on offer in those heats. You'll gain 20 points in the championship for a win in a heat, 19 for second, 18 for third, and so on and so forth. But it's the final, for the grid for which those heats determine, that is the big points winner. 130 points on offer for whoever wins that trophy final. We've got the Class 1 and Class 2. as well as super heavyweights. Class 1, Class 2 and Class 3 as well as super heavyweights. There's 4 subclasses within the heavyweights. Yellow number plates are your Class 1 drivers. Blue are your Class 2 and 3. And then green number plated drivers are racing in the super heavyweight category.
So about ready then. Joe Holmes, championship leader. Two big names in this heavyweight series at the front of this field for the first heat of the day. So remember, 7 minutes on the clock. I think we may be going round again. Yes, we are going round again. Yeah. Opportune. Gives me a chance. I mentioned on the grid rundown, you see number 7 there, Craig Brown with the orange topped lid. Received some great praise in the week. Scott Mansell, known as Driver 61 on YouTube. Great guy. Does a lot of driver training, especially in sim racing now. Which obviously has had the big boom over the pandemic period. He did a great video which was looking at great overtakes and used a bit of footage from Steve Brown Super GT, who we'll see this afternoon, and a great battle that he and Craig Brown had at this very circuit not too long ago on one of our Club 100 streams, and was talking through the move, but also talking about how both drivers, not just Steve but Craig as well, both played their part in a great bit of racing, and we're expecting more today.
Absolutely. This is an interesting start to our day, Andrew. We've got 2 of the key championship protagonists at the front of this heat grid, with Joe Holmes and Adam Wright on the front row. So it's going to be interesting how these 2 open their points tally for the day.
And don't forget about David Longman.
No.
We were with him last night. Yep. Was well up for the challenge here in heavyweights today. Very experienced driver and knows this circuit very, very well. All ready then for the first race of the day, round 7 of the Club 100 Sprint Championships for 2020. This is your Alpha live stream, live from Whilton Mill Kart Circuit. Watch the lights, the red, the green, away we go then for the start of this one. The anti-pole side of the grid does not get a good start, and Dave Longman follows. Joe Holmes through into second place, but look at the understeer through the first couple of corners. Mark Ridout's gone round there in the midfield and has collected a couple of drivers with him towards the back of the field. To be expected. It is very, very greasy, and look at that, Dave Longman down the inside. Great move through Christmas Corner. Longman leads at Whilton Mill.
Lovely start from Longman, but Andrew, otherwise it was a clumsy start. There were people with their arms in the air, clearly unhappy with how the grid was being paced, at least in the mid-pack, and I think that led to everybody bulking up a bit into the crook, as Longman now begins to defend from Holmes and Wright. But yeah, there was a bit of frustration there at the start. We'll check on timing as they come around to finish this lap, who has fallen afoul of incidents further back.
Absolutely. So we'll count them as they come round, but it's this 4 breaking away. Craig Brown's also got himself up to 4th place. Stephen Downs trying to come through as well. Over start finish we go then. It's Longman from Holmes, Wright in 3rd, Craig Brown in 4th. Jeremy Deeks has had a good start as well, is up there in 5th place and is currently your leading C2 runner. Remember, C1 drivers with the yellow number plates, C2 drivers with the blue number plates and green number plates for the super heavyweights. Thank you very much, Nick Trafford, right on the scene, making a move there. I think that was on Kurt Holmes for 7th place.
Just we do this housekeeping. Drivers who've had some kind of incident on lap 1. Lewis McKinnon, Blake Temperley, Karim Hijazi and Bill Taylor all had some kind of incident there. In fact, Bill Taylor, Andrew, still hasn't crossed the line, so I'm not sure what's happened there. As Adam Wright gets himself a cone penalty, that'll be a 1-place deduction at the end of the race. So even if Adam goes on to win this one on the road, he will not be scored and classified as such. As Joe Holmes manages to tuck under David Longman, you've got to be so careful making a move into that final paddock corner these days, because they have changed the curb on the inside there over the course of, they did that midway through 2019. I think they shaved it slightly down.
Holmes was wide.
He was wide. And Adam Wright, now having seen his cone penalty, knows he's got to make hay quite literally whilst the sun is shining, even if it's shining directly into his face. He knows he's got to make some moves here, Andrew. Otherwise, he's not going to get too much from this first heat of the day.
That was great driving through the last corner from both Longman and Holmes. We've seen that situation of 2 wide going into the last corner with this new curve go wrong before, but both drivers gave each other room. and both of them kept it in the track limits as well. Just to notify, the track limits for here in Club 100, we're looking at the red and white curb, not the Motorsport UK line. We'll note it on the way around as Holmes looks back up the inside again. Has he got a better run this time? Yes, he has. And keeps it, within track limits. Doesn't go beyond the red and white curb. That was a good move from Joe Holmes. And Adam Wright's very, very racy. Trying to find a way past David Longman. Can David Longman tuck into the slipstream of Joe Holmes as they go up the hill again? That's also another area where the drivers are allowed to use the concrete runoff there as they turn up towards Christmas Corner. Craig Brown coming into this now as well there in P4, and Kurt Holmes up to P5.
Yeah, what these top three aren't doing is the sort of typical sprint strategy of working together in the early phases. They seemed fairly happy to do a little bit of battling early on, and it is, as you say, mate, allowing Craig Brown and indeed Kurt Holmes to come into this one a little bit. I did wonder last lap if David didn't start defending a little bit early. He was defending as far back as Ozius.
Something's happened to Stephen Downs. He's fallen all the way down to 14th place, but he is quick. He's just done the fastest lap of the race of 58.335. So hopefully he can get some positions back, but that's not good news for Stephen Downs, last year's number 5 seed in this competition.
Yeah, Lewis McKinnon's just picked up a penalty for a jump start. Now, if you're wondering how do you do a jump start, it's not a standing start. What they're talking about is there's a car to the side of the road. Was that a tester or a competitor?
I couldn't actually tell.
Adam Wright's
like
managed to find a run here, though, up on David Longman. It's going to be from a little way back, but that was nicely judged, and he's going to get down the inside at Christmas Corner, and Adam Wright gets himself up to second place. But remember, he has got that one-place position to be deducted at the end, so he would still only be classified as third come the end of this one. But immediately, David Longman has the attentions of Craig Brown, 2 Class 1 runners. Remember, yellow number plates for our Class 1 runners, so this is all within their subclass. As they all come onto the back straight, brake hard into the boot. You don't want to get too greedy on the exit of the first part of the boot, because you've immediately got to go right here through the next 3 apexes and then guide it through paddock. Thankfully, Andrew, I don't think the sun is in their eyes as they're spotting their turning point for paddock, which would be particularly dramatic. Oh, and that's a bad turn 2 for David Longman there, and that allowed Craig Brown to have a look. But I think the grip in turn 2, Andrew, is still terrible.
Yeah.
As Nick Trafford is having a strong look here for 4th place on Craig Brown. I just want to take the opportunity right now to acknowledge Nick Trafford's amazing lawn mowing skills that he was exhibiting on the Facebook group.
Oh, yes.
Over the course of the week. That was dedication to the Whilton Mill prep, if ever there was one. I think it could start a craze. I think kart tracks in lawns, mowed into lawns, is the new thing. I don't know why we didn't start it sooner. Really, it's actually very lockdown friendly as a pastime. But there we go. Anyway, he's looking to get a position on Craig Brown at the moment. The green number plate indicating that he is in the super heavyweights, but he's one of those drivers who's just able to seems almost eradicate that weight disadvantage, as there's a new fastest lap from Kurt Holmes behind him in the 52, which is why now Holmes is right on the tail of Trafford. Trafford has a look over his shoulder, and it was an attempt to almost sell the dummy there from Kurt Holmes, but I'm not sure Trafford actually looked over his shoulder to see that dummy, the correct side of him. Either way, it carries on for another few corners.
It's so tricky to make those moves stick today, especially in these situations right now where, just for a reference, the fastest lap time of the race so far, Stephen Downs at 56.996. That's the best part, 2 seconds off where we were running in the E60 yesterday in dry conditions with fresh tyres. It is clearly very, very greasy out there, but that's where you see the best drivers come to the fore, because it's the ones who can find where the grip is in these situations and pull the lap times out. Last lap then, Joe Holmes is checked out at the front of the field. Adam Wright is looking comfortable in second place, Dave Longman as well in third. This is the key battle out on circuit. Craig Brown and Nick Trafford fighting over 4th place. Brown checks over his shoulder as they run up to Christmas Corner. That's going to be too far back for Nick Trafford to make any kind of move into Christmas, but he's done nicely there, Howard, potentially setting this up for a move down into Ashby.
Yeah, strong on the brakes there from Trafford into Christmas, and that will give him some confidence. Ashby is a tough one to judge, though. Down the inside he goes, and that was well judged. I think there's an attempt, but it wasn't enough. and he's going to have to find another place. The next opportunity is down into Osiers, but I think he's a bit too far back as a result of his attempt into Ashby to give that a go, and he's going to run it a bit wide maybe, or at least Kurt Holmes is going to take a tighter line. This is where the sun is right in their eyes, by the way, as they're coming towards the boot here and spotting their turning point for that as they come through the second part of the boot. But it's going to be Joe Holmes who crosses the line to take the win in heat number 1 of round 7 of the 2020 Club 100 Heavyweight Sprints Championship. Adam Wright finishes second, but will be classified in third once penalties are applied. David Longman will therefore be promoted to second. Craig Brown finishes fourth, holding off Nick Trafford for fifth. Kurt Holmes finishing really well in sixth. Steve Lindley in seventh. Ben Bennyworth is eighth. Jeremy Deeks ninth. 10th for Mark Ridout, recovering after that incident right at the start, turn 2 of lap 1. Jason Bear in 11th is your highest place, class 3. Then Stephen Downs, as Andrew mentioned mid-race, something went a little bit awry for him in that one, but he did finish with the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. Elliot Muse in 13th. We expect Chris Solomon to come home in 14th. There he is. And there's Blake Temperley, another driver who had an incident early on. Lewis McKinnon in 16th, 17th for Karim Hijatzi. And Bill Taylor did not complete the race.
That was Heat 1. This is your Alpha live stream, sponsored by Navos Technology Solutions you can trust. We're going to take a short break and be back for Heat 2 very, very soon.
Let's take you through the grid then for heat number 2 in our heavyweights. Don't forget the drivers in this first round of sprints, first cycle of sprint heats, do get to warm up for a few laps, but let's take you through the grid here. This is going to be obviously their first heat of the day. On pole is going to be Gary Miller. It'll be Sean Briley alongside Matt Wildman, and James Taylor will be on row 2, and then on row 3 it's going to be Richard Burrows and Matt Kendall. Jordan Salter and Jeff Lamb are your fourth row, with Benjamin Robinson and Darren Townsley rounding out your top 10. Vinod Harani and Jack Bolton are row number 6. Row 7 is going to be Stuart Jones and Martin Robinson. Sonny Cundy and Jaden Cadigan make up row 8, and then row 9 is going to be Luke Phillips and Will Appleton. That's how they line up then for heat number 2. Do hope you're enjoying the stream already.
Hello to the folks in the comments. I'm having a look at the ones in the on the YouTube. Hello to Javier Gostidi Turner. I must be the only driver in history to go wide out the Bashby into the grass. No. I can no. Give you a sort of good piece of news there, Javier. You are not the only driver who's ended up down there over the years.
Someone did set a record, my personal record of what I've seen before, which is where they went so wide at Ashby. This was earlier this year. They went so wide at Ashby, they decided to bail and rejoin on the back straight, which is impressive because there's actually a fence that separates the two. So you have to go. You have to go off like early enough. They actually had
drivers left.
Drivers left as you're going into Ashby.
Right of your shot.
Like this shot, they speared off to the right and went, well, you know,
I don't need to.
I've got damage. I need to go to the pits anyway, and they just rejoined. That's not advised, by the way. But no, you are far from the only person to go wide at Ashby and join the grass. Although you do, it's a fair point. The point being made there, I think, is there is a lot of healthy amount of concrete runoff on the exit of Ashby that you will see the drivers using. That's okay. They're fine to do that. But no, there's often somebody who manages to find an even wider line.
Good morning to Mr. Stephen Hicks, who organised a very, very nice Rule of 6 compliant meal out in a chain of restaurants specialising in Jamaican style food that will remain nameless.
Have you got yourself into a neutral marketing spiral there?
Yes. Yes, Longman must be the curried goats from last night settling in. So there you go.
Now I understand where you were going. But yes, we've spoken a little bit about the format of today. Let's just talk about how it fits into the wider context of the championship. Round 7 of 10, and it is your best 7 rounds of those 10 that count. Now, I want to be very clear what we mean when we say that. Let's say you do all 10 rounds. Your worst results that make up the equivalent of 3 rounds will be dropped. In other words, it's not really 3 rounds will be dropped. In reality, it's more 9 of your worst heat scores and 3 of your worst trophy final scores will be dropped. It's the equivalent of 3 rounds will be dropped. Now, for some drivers, they haven't been able to make all rounds, and so they will have burnt through some of that dropped score. So Joe Holmes, for example, is racing today, very much in the fight for this championship, but he has missed 2 rounds, which means if he turned up to the rest of these events through to we're going through to the first weekend of December, I want to say.
Pretty much,
the calendar off the top of my head. If he was attending all of those remaining rounds, he has the equivalent of 1 drop round left to go because he has missed 2 of the rounds. It's very common to see drivers missing a round. Obviously, this year there's been a fair amount of disruption to people's plans generally, so these things happen. But it's just something to bear in mind as we get towards the business end of this season. Someone like Anwar Birel Smith, who has been at every single round, has those 3 rounds equivalent in his scoreline to be deducted. And as we're talking about scores, do not forget that for any of the official results and championship standings, head over to results.alphatiming.co.uk, click on Club 100. It is all for you there. That is results.alphatiming.co.uk. And don't forget that you can also go to live.alphatiming.co.uk to follow all of the live timing. So if you have a spare screen alongside this stream, you can follow the racing action as it goes along.
Thank you very much, Javier, for the kind words, and Kirath as well for the commentary. If you're enjoying the commentary and you're on Facebook, you can support us. Give the page a like at @Motorsport Media. Really does help us out on the YouTube as well. All the usual YouTube stuff. Click that subscribe button, the like button, the share button, and the notification. All the buttons. And we're on Twitter as well, of course, at @MN.
Absolutely. The only place as well to catch the Legends of Club 100 and BUKC series is our YouTube channel.
Hopefully we don't go full Spa today.
I very much hope. I'm not sure physics allows for it. Here we go then.
Tempted.
Here we go then. Gary Miller on pole in the 28 pole on the left-hand side as the driver looks at it. Sean Briley alongside there with the yellow and black liveried helmet. We are good for go. Eyes on the lights. And away we go for heat number 2. It's a more even start, but even so, Sean Briley feels the need to come across and defend against Matt Wildman as they go through 1 and 2. And it's going to allow Gary Miller to lead up the hill. Is it a cleaner start this time? Looks to be so, but this is a good start here from, they have actually both got by Gary Miller, and that is a great start from Matt Wildman to get to the head of the field. The run that he had out of turn 2, and it's just so slippery down there. There's a little bit of a kiss with the grass there further back. The lack of grip that they have through turn 2 just means that they're having to sort of squirrel their way through and find the best line. But look at this, Sean Briley having a look into Wilkins, but there's no opportunity on there. He has a quick look over his shoulder to check that he's safe to carry on attacking. Meanwhile, James Taylor in the 111 has made it up to 3rd place as one of the super heavyweight drivers, so a good start from him. Further behind them, this is Jeff Lamb having a look at Gary Miller now into the boot and gets the job done for 4th place as they come round to complete their first lap of the circuit.
Yeah, really good starts from some of our regulars. And we've got some drivers coming through the field as well. Let's count them over. So Wildman leads from Briley. James Taylor. We've not seen James Taylor in a while. Good to see him back here in a super heavyweight class, according to my time screen. We'll confirm that as they go round. But the number 14, Benjamin Robinson, gets forced out wide there and off the road. And I'm afraid to say I'm going to put that one on Gary Miller. Gary Miller, for me, moved under the braking zone there and forced Benjamin Robinson off. I wonder whether that will be called. And it is why we say, well, at all levels of motorsport, that moving in the braking zone isn't a good idea. And there you see coming through Stuart Jones in the and Jack Bolton as well. 2 regular drivers, C1 drivers coming through. Jack Bolton was very quick in the practice session this morning before we came on air. But there's the number 28 of Gary Miller. Contact warning for Sonny Cundy, the number 76.
There's nothing come up on penalties for Miller, as he's under attack now from Richard Burrows, who himself has Stuart Jones for company. And there is Stuart Jones. He's got a brilliant run through turns 1 and 2 and has got straight past them. Also there is the 55 of Matt Kendall, as they all go down the inside of Richard Burrows there. Jack Bolton getting by now. So it's a change here in the lower parts of the top 10.
Track limits warning for the number 20. That will probably be been round the last corner, as we mentioned. You're not allowed to go to the left of the red and white curb, cattle grid curb there. Jones now trying to find his way past Miller. There is the number 55 of Matt Kendall. Jack Bolton just behind. Vinod Hirani's had a strong start to this race as well. And yes, looks like Jones has got past Miller there for 5th place. 4 minutes of this one to go.
Matt Wildman, 1.5 seconds to the good, has just set the fastest lap of the race. I think the lap times are dropping a little bit here. We've just had a 56.787 as Jack Bolton tucks underneath the 55 of Matt Kendall here and is surely going to complete this with a tidy braking for Christmas. Matt Kendall, though, is going to keep his foot in it. He's going to keep fighting this one side by side through Boxing Day into Inkerman's. Surely Jack Bolton will stamp home his advantage, and he does indeed, but he is having to go defensive there, and that battle has allowed the likes of Vinod Hirani and Darren Townsley Darren Townsley is a few seconds back from this. It has allowed Richard Burrows and Vinod Hirani to get right onto the back of this as well. So that was a prolonged battle there for Jack Bolton, but he now seeks to get by Gary Miller now for 6th place.
Matt Wildman, really impressive this. He's just set a new fastest lap of the race and the fastest lap of the day so far of 56.553. To put it into context, he's pulling away from a driver who we saw as part of a great 3-way battle the last time we had a streamed round at Bayford Meadows for the overall win in this competition. So Matt Wildman pulling away from Sean Briley in a very, very impressive manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This is very good stuff from Matt Wildman in the 131 as Jack Bolton is eyeing up and moving to Ashby, but thinks better of it. It's a challenging spot to overtake at Ashby. It's sort of, you'd think it's a hairpin, it's a heavy braking zone, and you do see overtakes there, but the nature of how the corner, he looks down the inside of Ozier's, and that is not the best defensive driving, if I'm being honest, from Gary Miller there. I think that's a little bit, well, one recalls when a lot of F1 drivers moaning about Max Verstappen moving around in braking zones and squeezing the inside line. That wasn't the best, was it?
No, it wasn't, if we're being honest. There is the battle for 2nd place. Sean Briley ahead of James Taylor. His entertainer's suit on there. James, a proficient driver, I should say, in the old clubman's level, which was the 2nd tier of 3 in Club 100, first the invitational classes. A great championship battle in that a couple of years ago, which he came on top of and took that title. Hasn't raced that much since though, so it is great to see him back here at Whilton Mill. Has traditionally run very well around here as well.
Yeah.
And he does seem to be closing in on the number 50. Curb warning for the number 140 of Luke Phillips.
75 seconds left on the clock then. Still a lot of battling going on in that lower part of the top 10 that we've been watching so much. But here's your race leader. Not seen much of him since he had that rocket start at the beginning of this one. 56.273 is now his best lap time, and that is still he is still the holder of the fastest lap of the race. So he's able to find the grip out there. And it really is, even though it is quote-unquote dry conditions, you can see some of the damp patches around the circuit where there just isn't as much of the grip available to the drivers, and that's providing a bit of a challenge as drivers go offline to find opportunities for overtakes and such. There is slightly less grip out on those parts of the circuit, particularly at turn 2. Turn 2, always the last part of the circuit to dry out, as James Taylor is pushing a little bit too hard there and has a little kiss with the grass coming through the boot. But we are on to the last lap with Matt Wildman setting another fastest lap to come onto it.
Yeah, he's run really well so far this season, Matt. He's been in the E60 a lot, putting in some fantastic performances. And it looks like he's going to get this victory unless something remarkable and quite unlucky happens in the last lap. Just having a look through to see... well, yeah, he's not been attending every single sprint round, hasn't been able to make all of them, but when he has, he's had 3 heat wins so far this season. This is going to be number 4 And I think he could be a bit of a dark horse for the final today as well. His best result in the final so far is 6th. Can he improve on that here today at Whilton Mill? Well, that's a very good start. Matt Wildman takes heat 2 and a good haul of points here for round 7 of the Heavyweight Sprint Championship. Sean Birel strong again in 2nd place. James Taylor on his Club 100 return finishes in 3rd. Great result there from Jeff Lamb, 4th. Stuart Jones in 5th. It's then going to be Richard Burrows in 6th place. Good drive from Matt Kendall there, in 7th. Jack Bolton 8th. Vinod Hirani strong there in 9th, 2nd of the Super Heavyweights. Gary Miller 10th, Darren Townsley 11th, Jordan Salter 12th. Luke Phillips got 13th on the line ahead of Benjamin Robinson and Sonny Cundy. Martin Robinson 16th, Jaden Cadigan 17th, and Will Appleton will be 18th. There is Will across the line. In fact, no, he's just got ahead of Jaden on that last lap. That's your provisional result then for heat number 2. This is your Alpha Live stream for Club 100 Racing, sponsored by Navos Technology Solutions you can trust. We're going to take another short break. Next up, heat number 3. Back here at Whilton Mill, you're watching live Club 100 Racing, the 7th round of the Heavyweight Sprints Championship for 2020. Here's your grid for heat number 3 then. Andrew Cherry and Paul Williams are on the front row of the grid. Doug Cook and championship contender Anwar Barul Smith start in row 2. Dimitri Zeldin and Anthony Reid are on row number 3. Alex Pritchard and Lee Henderson go from row number 4. Alexander Lamin, experienced driver, starts on row 5 alongside Peter Clark. Lewis Ridd and Steve Bosley are on row 6. And then, starting from the back of the field, Paul Goddard and James Dunnett go from row 7. Chris Wharton and Simon Kavanagh go from row 8. James Fremont and Tim Williams are on row number 9. Remember, each driver in their heats appears 3 times out on circuit, so they basically have a grid from the front, a grid from the middle, and a grid from the back. So those drivers starting toward the back, especially Paul Williams, who raced fantastically, Howard, at Bayford Meadows. They'll be looking to try and do a bit of a damage limitation job at this stage of the day, but also if they can get some good points from there towards the back end of the grid slot, it sets them up nicely for the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously about getting the best average result that you can across the heats. It's very seldom that you would see one person win every single one of their 3 heats. It has happened, but it's very unusual because of that the lowly grid spot that everybody is set to have at some point. Good morning to Racing Rogero on YouTube. Do please keep interacting with us. It's great to have you along for this event today. And do please like, share, subscribe. Let's get some people talking about the Club 100 Championship as we come towards. We are getting to that point in the season now where it starts to get tasty with regards to the championship fight. So there is plenty to look forward to in this round and the coming rounds of the championship. Still 3 of them to go, of course, after this one. We've got, let's do this round at Whilton Mill. We're then down at Rye House,
which will also be streamed.
It will indeed,
unless,
yes.
Plans change, of course.
Yes.
In this ever-changing year of 2020. And that is the plan.
Absolutely. So that is that will be Rye House. I'm just double-checking before I say them all wrong when the dates are for that. So that will be November the 1st for Rye House, and then 22nd of November the championships go to Buckmore Park, and then Sunday the 6th of December they're back here at Whilton Mill, running on the alternative layout, the Zulu layout, or the national layout as it's known, as opposed to this, the international layout. The difference of which is shown to you on screen right now. Ashby Hairpin is part of the international loop. You can see just at the top, just where that marshal's standing, actually, is the apex of Inkerman's which is a hairpin on the national layout, but is a fast right-hander on the international layout. So that will be a hairpin when we're here on the 6th of December for that final round of the championship. It's obviously, for very obvious reasons, heavily weighted towards the end of the year, and that means adverse weather conditions, adverse light conditions, such as having the sun in your eyes or even some darkness towards the end of the day, all come into play more so. Some of the factors that Andrew and I are very used to talking about when we cover another Club 100 supported championship, the British Universities Karting Championship. A lot of the stuff that we talk about with that championship come into play at this point. That is a championship that runs usually between the months of November and March, sometimes into April. So that is a championship that very often has to deal with adverse weather conditions and challenging light conditions.
And even when they race in September, it's still adverse
weather
conditions.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Someone tried to blow over Clay Pigeon Kart Circuit a couple of weeks ago. Good morning to Tim Weitman, who says good morning from the Netherlands. Thank you for tuning in, Tim. I think we are going to be going round again.
Yep. There's Andrew Cherry in the 16 on pole. Alongside is Paul Williams. Experienced driver is Paul. It'll be interesting to see what he can get from this, his best grid slot of the 3 heats that he's going to be doing. So they'll go through the cut through here just to shorten the rolling up lap. I wonder, because it looked to me like most people were in position, I wonder if we're waiting for somebody to have a kart switch in the pits. So just come out onto the back straight. This is the point where the national and international loops converge. They both share the boot complex of corners in common, which is what they're going through now.
Just going to check whether they are good to go this time around. Yes, they are. Thumbs up from the Pace Karts driver, who will pull off to one side of the circuit to allow this race to get underway then. So number 16, Andrew Cherry, has pole position. Paul Williams there in the all-grey combo in the 65. Looking to continue his good form from Bayford Meadows. Eyes on the lights, the red, the green. We're racing at Whilton Mill for heat number 3. Not a good start from the anti-pole side of the grid again. So anyone with an odd numbered grid position got a great one there. As I think that was the number 37 of Alexander Lammin having some trouble as they went through the crook and into fine lane and up the inside. Number 142, Anthony Ridd. What a start from Ridd. Has gone from P6 and is now in second place. So got a great second phase of that start, Howard.
Absolutely, but it was Birel Smith who was able to take the lead on the run up the hill. Just got a good start, as you say. It wasn't the best start from the anti-pole side. And Birel Smith starting from, actually, no, that was from the anti-pole side, wasn't it? 4th on the grid. That's interesting, because I thought he was directly behind Andrew Cherry. I wonder if we had a non-starter on the grid.
No, I think with the pole side of the grid got a very good start, but then all overcooked it going through turns 1 and 2, which allowed the drivers on the inside, as you approach it through the right-handers, to fight back a bit. But by the by, Birel Smith leads at the end of lap 1, Ridd in 2nd, Cherry 3rd, Williams 4th. Alex Pritchard's had a good start as well. Great day yesterday in the Sprint 60. Took the super heavyweight win there to make it 3 in a row. He's up to P5, and Lee Henderson on the charge as well has got up to 6th.
Yeah, some really good starters there. Paul Goddard and Simon Kavanagh both made up 3 and 4 positions respectively on that first lap, so there's some good movers further down as well. As having a look here into Wilkins is Lee Henderson there, getting by on Alex Pritchard, but Pritchard's going to fight back into Osiers, and that's going to hold both of them up, and that immediately is going to put, I think that was Steve Bosley, was it, trying to capitalise there, and that's caused all sorts of problems there. Paul Goddard is definitely a beneficiary of that there. He's going to be up another 3 or 4 positions on this second lap as they almost go 3 wide heading towards paddock corner. They're all going to have to sort themselves out because they don't want to make contact with that curb. It is Paul Goddard who's got himself up to 5th, another lap where he's made up 4 positions. Lewis Ridd up to 6th, Lee Henderson in 7th, Steve Bosley 8th, and then Alex Pritchard and Alexander Lammin round out the top 10. Meanwhile, this is Paul Williams going by Andrew Cherry at Christmas Corner for 3rd place. Nicely judged move there, just risked enough there to get through cleanly. Andrew Cherry wisely slots in behind so as not to lose too much time, and he'll wait for a better opportunity to try and get that one back. As going to the inside on Henderson now is Lewis Reed, I think that was, going to the inside, side by side through Osiers.
Steve Bosley getting through as well in the number 40. Lee Henderson being barged out the way a little bit there. And there's the number 61 of Simon Kavanagh trying to get involved towards the back of this group. Has had a contact warning though, needs to be careful. Henderson up the inside of Pritchard now, going into the last corner. Oh, who's going to yield out of this one? They both keep it in track limits. Great racing between Lee Henderson and Alex Pritchard. Oh my goodness me, Simon Kavanagh up the inside and makes contact there with Lee Henderson, who's lost his engine. He's trying to get it restarted. He's done that, but is not happy about that one at all.
Yeah, it's an ambitious move into oblivion. Meanwhile, this is the 64 of Dunnett, indeed. Having a look at Alex Pritchard now, isn't he?
No, I think that was on Williams.
Oh yeah, apologies.
Great move through Boxing Day around the outside to get that one done. Back with our battle over second place. Rid being caught now by Cherry, so Andrew Cherry's got back ahead of Paul Williams.
Yeah, you do see moves into oblivion, and clearly Kavanagh felt that he had the run.
You don't see many three wide.
You don't see many three wide, no, absolutely. And it was very ambitious when they were already side by side, as Paul Williams now defending hard against Paul Goddard, who's having a fantastic drive here today.
He's having an absolute flyer. We said beforehand, drivers from the back of the grid looking to get a good one up the inside. He's now got P4. This is brilliant from Goddard. This is kicking his day off in just the right way, because he's going to have better grid slots for his second and third heats later in the morning. And he's going to take the pressure off as well. Won't have to run as many risks in those races. He's done the hard work in this one here. Can he make it even an even better result with 2.5 minutes of this one to go?
Got a good racecraft, Andrew. I remember racing against him in the he was formerly in the super heavyweight class a few years ago. Now racing, as you can see, with a blue number plate. He's in class 2 of the heavyweights now. But yeah, he's got a lot of experience. He's now in the wheel tracks of Andrew Cherry, who himself is chasing Anthony Reid. If you're wondering, by the way, I've barely mentioned him. Anwar Brule-Smith has checked out of this one, 7.3. But look at this. Goddard has a run here on Cherry into Christmas corner. Oh, judges it well. That is beautiful. It's very hard to overstate how difficult it is for him to have judged that without connecting with the rear of Anthony Reid behind him. That was the challenge there, as their paths converged, but he judged that one beautifully, Andrew.
No, that was superb from Goddard there, and the key bit was that he didn't wash out wide through the crook and into Fine Lady. He was able to keep the momentum as they went up the hill. You can see Lewis Reid as well fighting with Paul Williams. Your fastest driver out on circuit though, Howard, it's actually Steve Bosley at the moment, a 55.439. But just to say that Anwar Brule-Smith takes it. We're getting into the 55s, Howard. The pace is starting to rise here. And look at this, Goddard again, trying to find his way up the inside of Anthony Reid. He's got a good motor under him. He's getting the performance out of it, and he's now going to be up the inside. This should be an easy overtake into Christmas corner. But look at the squabbles going on behind Steve Bosley in the number 40 trying to come through. They're 2x2 as they go through what we're colloquially naming Boxing Day, and then Inkermans. This is going to get very tasty.
Oh, that's Lewis Reid. Lewis Reid onto the curbing there. He was side by side with Steve Bosley through most of the top part of the circuit and just ran out of room there.
So Goddard there ahead of Anthony Reid, but Lewis Reid unfortunately spinning out, and he's going to lose positions. And Steve Bosley's been given a penalty. So Steve Bosley has been given a penalty for multiple pieces of contact. We're on the last lap of the race.
That'll be expensive. That'll be 4 positions added to his final race result. Anwar Brule-Smith, though, has indeed started his last lap of the circuit. He's almost 10 seconds to the good. Now, he is the only Class 1 runner. You might have noticed he's the only Class 1 runner in this race. We're looking at these battles further down. Here is Steve Bosley now trying to negate some of that penalty to be applied, getting by on, that's Andrew Cherry, isn't it, at the top of the hill. But I think that's as good as it can get for him, because there's now quite a gap to Anthony Reid in third.
It's a very good result indeed. Number 37 and the 16 going at it.
Lamin and Cherry.
Yeah.
But this is Anwar Brule-Smith coming round now to take a dominant victory in the third heat of the day here in the heavyweights at Whilton Mill. He takes the win, and then it'll be a fairly lengthy gap back to Paul Goddard, who's had an absolutely amazing drive up through the field. This is one of his best performances I've seen, Andrew. He's just really come out of the box racing well today, and he does indeed get second. Anthony Ridd in third, but then there's a bit of change. Steve Bosley in fourth, but will have penalties to be applied. Alexander Lammin in fifth, sixth for Paul Williams. Then it's Andrew Cherry in seventh, Alex Pritchard in eighth, Lewis Ridd in ninth, recovering after that spin at the top of the circuit. Simon Kavanagh finishing 10th. Good drive there, highest place of your Class 3 runners. Lee Henderson in 11th is your highest place. Super heavyweight, then it's James Dunnett, Tim Williams, Peter Clark in 14th. 15th is Dimitri Gelbin, Chris Wharton in 16th, and then James Fremont in 17th place.
Best result for Paul Goddard since the very first race of the year, Heat 1, Round 1, when he also got a second place. We're going to take another very short break here on your Alpha live stream, sponsored by Navos. Technology solutions you can trust. Heat number 4 coming right up. It's time for Heat 4 for the 7th round of our 2020 Heavyweight Sprint Championship for Club 100 Racing. Howard's going to take you through a grid.
I am indeed. Let's take a look at your Heat 4 grid, and it will be headed by Miguel Hall in the number 18 kart with Jordan Hawkins alongside. Jonathan Elliott and Richard Allen make up row number 2. Row 3 it consists of Chris Gristwood and James Wortman. Row 4 we'll see Stuart Simmons at the wheel of the 141 with Dave Pethers alongside Lenny Wood and Richard Newton round out your top 10 with Bradley Shears and Mark Appleton on row number 6. Row 7 will be Oliver Moss and Matthew Batter. Chris Kirk and Nick Pollicott are on row 8. And then row 9, rounding out the 18 kart grid, will be Andrew Perry and Wayne Dunham. That's how they line up then. Should say one little caveat on the whole, everyone gets a random grid position so that they have the same average grid position. I should have mentioned when I was talking about that earlier, Class 3 drivers, as our novice class of drivers, do start from the back of the grid. They're randomised within that, but you won't see Class 3 drivers starting on pole, because that's a bit of a daunting thing to do if you're relatively new. I remember when I started racing in Club 100 machinery in the BUKC, they didn't have that rule, and so I distinctly remember starting on pole position in my first year at the Mains Championship and being rather scared as there's a kart change going on in the pits here.
Just to cut, to cut across you there, Howard. Alexander van der Woude asks a similar kind of question of what the class structure is. So C1s are kind of your elites. Or I always like to think of them in terms of prototype driver classification. Our C1s are our platinums and golds.
Yep.
So obviously our platinums being your examples of your Joe Holmeses or your Steve Browns or your Anwars who've been at the top of the order for a good few years, and then everybody else trying to catch them is like a gold. So that's your C1s, so drivers with proven track records in Club 100. C2s are experienced drivers. Now there's still some very good drivers in C2. There's some developing drivers in there, and C2 drivers at the front of C2 are often looking for that step up to get up into C1 and then further improve from there. But your C2 drivers I almost see as your silvers. And it's always key to have a fast silver. So that's where those guys sit. And then, as you say, your C3s are your rookies and your novices. So your bronze drivers in a way. But we have seen some really strong performances from C3 drivers coming in, getting up to speed pretty quickly.
Absolutely. I think that man there on your screens right now, by the way, I think that is who we saw taking the kart switch. So I think it was Jonathan Elliott, number 12, who chose to take the kart switch. Sorry, if it looked like I wasn't focusing, mate, that's because I was keeping my eyes peeled for who it was who did that. But yeah, it is a good good class structure here in Club 100 that's sympathetic to the fact that people are going to be coming in and they want someone to race. Right, and there is always somebody for you to race in Club 100. That is very much a point to bear in mind. So there's a fantastic battle that goes on in that Class 3 class, and those drivers get up to speed and cut their teeth, as it were, in Club 100 racing.
Timbo Hill 2980. If I know who that is, I'm pretty sure it is our very own Sir Timothy. And I did want to mention this today, so thanks for getting in touch, Tim. That we're all thinking of you, mate. A very, very experienced driver, a champion at the clubman level as well. Great character to have around the paddock. Had a broken shoulder injury, or broken collarbone, sorry, earlier in the year, which we found out this week isn't quite on the mend as much as we would like. So Tim, unfortunately, we won't see him racing in 2020, but we do hope you're on the mend, Tim, and that we see you back on track in 2021.
Absolutely. Miguel Hall is your pole sitter for this one, and he's fairly towards the top of Class 2. We did mention the championship situation slightly, but I should just cover your top 3 in Class 2 coming into today were Lewis Ridd, Alex Pritchard and Jordan Salter. Miguel Hall and Paul Williams actually round out the top 5, although I'm not convinced because Paul Williams is classified as super heavy on timing, so I'm a little bit, so that would mean actually it's Chris Gristwood in 5th within that Class 2. Very hotly contested class, that one, as we are good for the start. Miguel Hall on driver's left in the number 18. That is an interesting start right there. That was an interesting start from the pole side. To me, that looked like Miguel Hall started quite early and came across quite far there. But either way, as they head up the hill, it's Jonathan Elliott who's managed to get himself up into 2nd place. As at the top of the hill, that gets a little bit clumsy there. Stuart Simmons, and he's collected a cone for good measure, so there may be a penalty forthcoming on that. But Andrew, that looked a bizarre start to me. That was like the pole side caught the anti-pole side napping, as going way onto the grass there is Richard Allen.
Oh, careful,
this is
Richie.
A scruffy start.
Well.
Yeah, that was very good on the very wet grass, don't forget here, as down the inside goes Stuart Simmons, who has also paid a visit to the grass. But yeah, that was a bizarre start for me, Andrew. That seemed a little bit odd, but it is Miguel Hall who leads.
Yeah, I'd have to have another look at that to see what was going on there. I think there was trouble from the anti-pole side of the grid as well, which we've seen a couple of times already this morning. But I was a little bit concerned there that pole side drivers of the grid cutting across and out of tram lines. But Miguel Hall leads, Jonathan Elliott in 2nd place, Chris Gristwood knows these conditions well because he'll have raced in these for Nottingham University and the BUKC over the years. Penalty for Lenny Wood, a bump and pass penalty for driver in the number 38.
Meanwhile, we just saw Dave Pethers going down the inside of Jordan Hawkins for 5th place. The 127 now ahead of the 27 you can see there. And already Jordan Hawkins now under pressure from Rich Newton, who has a bit of an opportunity here, Andrew, insofar as Richard Allen has gone off as a super heavyweight driver onto the grass, so he's had a compromised start. So Richard Newton, who has been having some good drives this season, looking to finish highest placed of the super heavies in this one. Bradley Shears also reeling in that particular pack of karts as well now, as they come on to lap number 3. New fastest lap of the race from Chris Gristwood in his pursuit of Jonathan Elliott over 2nd place. We are here with them. There is Miguel Hall in the 18. Jonathan Elliott there gestures very clearly to Chris, don't fight me right now. Let's get on to terms with Miguel, and then we can all have fun battling over the race lead. You'll see that very standardly in sprint racing in karting. The idea that you don't fight now, you keep your powder dry and work together with a view to having the opportunity for greater riches come the end of the race. And sure enough, Miguel Hall, who did have a lightning start, has not got too much breathing space over these two as they reel him in.
Big
and that's
spin.
a big hit on the tyres.
I think it might have been Jordan Hawkins. We'll try and confirm it through in a bit. It is something that we're finding here at Whilton Mill, because I saw Lenny Wood nearly did it through the double left-handers. He nearly did exactly what I did in E60 yesterday. You get offline and you get the tyres to that point where the adhesion's just not there anymore, and you just slide, and it's very, very hard to pull it back in these conditions. I cannot reiterate enough. As I say, it looks dry, but it really, really isn't.
Absolutely. Dave Pethers got by on Lenny Wood, so the 127 now ahead of the 38, and meanwhile behind them there was an exchange there between Jordan Hawkins and Bradley Shears. So Bradley Shears now ahead of Jordan Hawkins, and now Lenny Wood is having another look back at Dave Pethers. It's all closing up here in the battle from 4th downwards, which Dave Pethers currently leads in that 127. Lenny Wood in that blue helmet and black suit there has got a penalty to be applied post-race, remember, so he wants to fight for every position. Well, he wanted to fight for every position possible anyway, but it counts even more. We're back to the leaders here as they come through the boot. not that much further up the road, incidentally. There's only 2 seconds that separates the back of this pack from the start of the next one, and indeed Dave Pethers is now breaking away from them slightly. Jordan Hawkins has another look at Bradley Shears there in the battle over 6th place. But for the moment, Bradley Shears hangs on, and he's got to be careful because Richard Newton in the 82, here he is, right on their tails, as is a recovering Stuart Simmons after an interesting first lap there in the 141 with the pink and blue helmet. And then the 56 at the back of this pack is Chris Kirk, highest placed of your Class 3 runners at the moment, as there's a penalty for a fellow classmate of his in the form of Wayne Dunham. That's for contact. So we'll be 4 positions at the end of the race. As down the inside goes Richard Newton. No, he doesn't make it stick. He doesn't make it stick, was Richard Newton, and now the 141 of Stuart Simmons is going to be all over him. He'll try and get the switch back out of Wilkins and have an opportunity down the inside of Ozies, and there you go. Textbook stuff from Stuart Simmons.
That was very nice from Simmons. Richard Newton, apologies, was your Colin the Cone abuser a few laps ago. It wasn't Jordan Hawkins, so my mistake there. 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go. And, was that Newton fighting back on Simmons
was Richard,
there?
Yep, it absolutely was. Richard Newton having a go back at Stuart Simmons. We cut to the battle over the lead of this one because it is hotting up. They're in the stream, and Miguel Hall feels the need to go defensive here. Out to the outside for the standard line goes Jonathan Elliott. He's going to try and get the switch back through these few corners to set up an opportunity into Ashby, but Miguel Hall is surely going to be wise. No, he does stick to the conventional line, and neither of them think that now is the time to pounce as they head through Wilkins. There's a yellow flag out there. Possibly somebody's connected with the tyres on the outside and a marshal is replacing them or some such. I don't think we have a stationary cart out there as our lead battle comes onto the back straight.
Very, very tense between these 3 drivers. We'd all love a race victory at this stage of the proceedings. I still think it's a little bit too early to start all-out racing here, and you know, Dave Pethers, you know, if these 3 drivers get things wrong, Dave Pethers is in that awkward area where he could catch them up if it gets a little bit too crazy at the front.
Yep, something happened in that Richard Newton-Stuart Simmons battle because Oliver Moss has now managed to get up to 8th place. It's all change in 8th, 9th and 10th on your timing towers to the left-hand side of your Alpha Live stream screens right there.
Just looking at the results so far, Miguel Hall's had a good number of heat wins so far this season. Chris Gristwood has not had a heat win so far this year. Jonathan Elliott has had the single heat win, which was back at round number 3 of the season.
And we're getting to the point now because surely the last lap board is going to be brought out this time. So this is the point where Chris Gristwood has a difficult choice to make. He's like, well, yeah, we could chase Miguel, but I want 2nd place. And indeed, I want to have a go at this win, and so I need to start making moves now. Here we go then, onto the last lap. Nose to tail, Hall, Elliott, Gristwood up the hill. Who has the best run out of turn 2? They all have a pretty good run up the hill. Hall will go defensive. Will Elliott go to the outside? Yes, he will. But Miguel Hall positions his car beautifully in the middle there, I think, to deter any moves. And now surely Gristwood is going, oh, I haven't got time to wait here. I've got to try myself. Into Ashby. Nobody thinks there's a move on there. They'll run out onto the curb there. That's fine. Next up is Wilkins with a major overtaking opportunity into Ozies if someone can get a good run. Is anyone going to attempt it there? No. They're going to stay as they are. No point risking losing, the points for a good grid position. Here they are. Going defensive now is Jonathan Elliott into the boot for the last time. And Miguel Hall has this one sewn up as he comes round to take a well-deserved win in heat number 4 of the heavyweights for round 7. It's going to be Jonathan Elliott in 2nd, Chris Gristwood in 3rd, Dave Pethers in 4th, with Lenny Wood in 5th, but with a bump and pass penalty to be applied. Bradley Shears finishes a good drive for him in 6th, 7th for Jordan Hawkins. Oliver Moss, your highest placed Class 1 runner in that one, in 8th, but with the fastest lap of the race on that last lap at 54.706. That pace is really coming down now. As the circuit warms up and dries out. Stuart Simmons in 9th, 10th for Richard Newton, Chris Kirk in 11th. It was James Workman, should mention Chris Kirk, highest placed of the Class 3 runners there. James Workman in 12th, 13th for Richard Allen, then it was Mark Appleton. Wayne Dunham, albeit with a penalty to be applied for contact after the race. Nick Policott in 16th, Matthew Batter in 17th, and we expect Andrew Perry in the 81 to round the final corner any moment now to finish 18th. There he is.
Very good. That's the end of the first rotation of heats. We're going to take another short break on your Alpha Live streams, supported by Navos Technology Solutions you can trust. Next up, heat number 5. No practice laps ahead of this one, so let's go straight into a quick fire grid for heat number 5 here at Whilton Mill Club 100 Heavyweight Sprints Championship, round number 7. On pole position for this one should be Stuart Jones alongside Peter Clark. If we can pull the graphic up on screen for looking at this grid, as we'll go straight into forming up the grid. Steve Lindley and Darren Townsley are on row number 2. Lewis Ridd and Matt Wildman with his impressive drive earlier on row 3. Joe Holmes and James Taylor alongside. That's a spicy row 4. Adam Wright and Craig Brown on row 5. Nick Trafford and Bill Taylor on row 6. Back end of the grid for this one, Jordan Salter and Tim Williams on row 7, Luke Phillips and Elliot Muse on row 8, James Dunnett and Simon Kavanagh. Thank you very much, Morgan, for those graphics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do hope you're enjoying your Alpha Live stream.
This is going to be a good one. I can feel it.
Yeah, I can feel it as well.
There's a lot of big runners in this one with work to do.
Tasty grid, this.
Stuart Jones there, your pole position holder. He'll want to stay there for sure. We are ready to go then. First of the second rotation of heats here at Whilton Mill today. Heat number 5 out of 12. The lights are green, very even start, but as you know, a very good one again from the pole side of the grid. Stuart Jones did that brilliantly. James Taylor's trying to go around the outside of the number 93 of Peter Clark. But apart from that, they head up, and Joe Holmes is on the move already. He's already got up to P4, he's now going for P3. There it is. Adam Wright's up the inside as well as they all go through Christmas Corner. There's a little bit of bumping and barging, but apart from that, Howard, we're all good, we're all clean.
It was clean, yeah. It was a poor start, though, from Peter Clark on the second position of the grid. He just wasn't able to lead that anti-pole side away with the pace that he perhaps wanted to. I'm not sure if maybe his car isn't so great in the low end or something there, but he definitely struggled to get away there and was somewhat mugged in the first couple of corners, but everyone managed to sort themselves out without incident, which is always good to see. Fantastic start from Joe Holmes and Adam Wright, getting by Lewis Ridd. Joe Holmes and Adam Wright starting from 7th and 9th on the grid respectively, as here he is battling away with Steve Lindley in the 47. So at the end of lap 1, it's going to be Stuart Jones in the lead, but Joe Holmes is going to be up from 7th on the grid to 2nd, Adam Wright in 3rd, Steve Lindley in 4th, then it's James Taylor in 5th, Matt Wildman in 6th, Craig Brown, Lewis Ridd, Bill Taylor, Nick Trafford round out your top 10 in the early phase of this race. As look at this, there is the number 7 of Craig Brown, as behind him Lewis Ridd and who is that going side by side with him? Is that Matt Wildman, I think? I know Bill Taylor's now getting involved. It might have been Nick Trafford actually. There's a full-on battle going on back here as we cut back to the battle for the lead. Stuart Jones leading ahead of Joe Holmes. Get by for the lead of this one if he can. He's going to look down the inside of the boot, and job done. It was very, very nicely done there from Joe Holmes, and Adam Wright is going to follow through as well. Adam Wright picking up where he left off with regards to his first heat in many ways, following Joe Holmes through, knowing that that's a way to some good points, as Joe Holmes sets the fastest lap of the race. Ooh. And that's very wide from Steve Lindley, and that's very, very wide from Steve Lindley, and that's going to be onto the banking there. And to me, Andrew, that was an unforced error from Steve. There was no contact of any sort that led to that. So Lindley paying a visit to the grass there, and indeed the banking to drivers left up the straight towards Christmas Corner is promoted Matt Wildman up to 4th. And indeed, here is Wildman having a look at Stuart Jones over 3rd place now, and there behind them is Craig Brown. But that was a heart-in-the-mouth moment there for Steve Lindley, and just shows how there's no grip if you get out onto that concrete curb. As for 3rd place here, Wildman does a repeat of what Joe Holmes did on Stuart Jones, and if anything, executes a little more cleanly. He was already by his nose alongside a little bit more at the start of the braking there, but it is now Matt Wildman up into 3rd place and setting the fastest lap of the race as he does it.
It is the thing this weekend with the grass. If you get any kind of rotation with the kart, whilst you're on it, because there are some chances that as we're looking here at James Taylor trying to make his way past Bill Taylor, you know, I had a moment yesterday at this very corner at Boxing Day cutting across the grass, and normally you could just kind of keep the thing straight and live to fight for another day, and it's so easy to lose the back end, and once the back end's going, so you're not going to pull it back, you just keep going round, as Steve Lindley had there. Hopefully he's been able to pull the kart back onto circuit and get it going again. Yes, he has. But he's lost over 30 seconds as a result of that.
Yeah, it is a fairly tightly packed heat, this one, so that does mean he's right to the back, as we're looking here at James Taylor, who's just got up into 6th place. Highest placed of your super heavyweight drivers. Don't forget they run the green number plate. Here are our leaders, Joe Holmes versus Adam Wright. And now, for Adam Wright, it's a case of, well, I've been following you through the pack, but now we're at the front. So it's game on for the lead of this one. And he's looking very racy here, as he did in his first heat, to be honest, Andrew. Adam Wright really looking as he's got the bit between his teeth, as there's a penalty.
Sorry,
go on.
I've just noticed there's an enormous gouge in the side of Joe Holmes' kart on the left-hand side pod. Don't know if he's been hit at all, whether it's just damage from a previous run, but it's clearly not affecting his speed. Once again, showing the job that the bumpers that came in a couple of years ago do. But just be conscious of that on the left-hand side of the car next time you see it.
We might see it this time around. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. There's a big dent there in the side pod.
Someone's given it the big oof.
They have. It doesn't seem to be affecting his pace too much. There's your penalty for Simon Kavanagh confirmed. That's for ABC takeout. As look at this, they're both going to the inside, and that's going to allow Matt Wildman to have a bit of opportunism here as well. Adam Wright does need to be careful here because Wildman is right with them now. But you can see how much Adam Wright is pushing. Joe Holmes going defensive. And for me, Andrew, this is very early in this sprint race for them to do this kind of battling. It is allowing Matt Wildman to catch up. And I think it's indicative of how Adam Wright really wants to take this championship fight to Joe Holmes, because both of these drivers, make no mistake, are in the hunt for this championship.
It's a dangerous game, though, because Matt Wildman, as we've mentioned already, is on such good form at the moment.
And has nothing to lose.
And has nothing to lose.
He's not in this championship fight. He's not doing enough of the rounds, unless you're about to correct me, Andrew. He's not doing enough of the rounds to get a full championship score. And they're battling so much that Stuart Jones is going to come into this as well. And we've still got 2 laps of this to go as they come up the hill. Who's got a good run? You could literally glue them together. They're that close at the moment. They all go to the inside. Matt Wildman thinks better of it. Jinks to the outside to take the switch back as they cut back, but he can't do anything with the overspeed, and they stay as they were. This is closing up a lot here, and Adam Wright's going to try down the inside of Ashby. That is bold, and it's not going to pay off there. But they do live to fight another corner. But Matt Wildman is alongside now. Can he go around the outside? Yes, he can. Into Wilkins. Beautiful move by Matt Wildman there. And now Wildman sees the opportunity. He may as well go for the win here on Joe Holmes. He's going to look down the inside of the boot, but Joe Holmes holds it round the outside. He knows how to go down the inside, but he knows how to defend round the outside as well at the boot. That was beautiful stuff from Joe Holmes to hold on to the lead of this race as we're on to the final lap.
This could go 5 ways because Craig Brown's coming in here, and we've seen it over the years. I'm thinking like Honda Cadet races. Yeah. I've seen drivers in P5 on the last lap win from this kind of position, but Joe Holmes is going to go defensive into Christmas corner. Wildman, oh my goodness me, Adam Wright, what is he trying to do there? He's trying to go around the outside. Stuart Jones is going to capitalise though and takes P3 away from Adam Wright, and Craig Brown is with them now. What can he get out of this? Joe Holmes checks over his shoulder, sees Matt Wildman there. There is an opportunity into the next of the left-handers for Matt to get down the inside, but he can't do it. Craig Brown's trying to fish his way through. Adam Wright looks down the inside of Stuart Jones. This has been a brilliant race as they're almost side by side going into the boot. Can Joe Holmes hold on to this one? It would be a really, really hard-worked, hard-fought victory, but I think he's going to do it. Round the final corner, Joe Holmes takes heat number 5 brilliantly ahead of Matt Wildman in 2nd place, Stuart Jones in 3rd, 4th for Adam Wright. Look at this over the line for 6th place. James Taylor takes it ahead of Bill Taylor. So it's Joe Holmes, Matt Wildman, Stuart Jones, Adam Wright, Craig Brown. That's your top 5. James Taylor, Bill Taylor, Nick Trafford, Jordan Salter, Lewis Ridd down to P10. Elliot Muse, great drive that from Elliot Muse, the C3 driver in P11 ahead of Darren Townsley, Tim Williams, Peter Clark, Luke Phillips, James Dunnett, Simon Kavanagh, and last but not least, Steve Lindley. Let's take another short break here at Whilton Mill. Next up, heat number 6 on your Alpha live stream, sponsored by Navas, technology solutions you can trust.
Let's go straight into a grid then for heat number 6 here of round 7 of the heavyweights for 2020. Mark Ridout starts this one from pole with Richard Newton alongside Steve Bosley, and Blake Temperley are on row 2. Row 3 is going to be Bradley Shears and David Longman. Doug Cook and Jeremy Deeks are your 4th row, with your top 10 rounded out by Anwar Smith and Jeff Lamb. Benjamin Robinson will be hoping to make up for a disappointing heat earlier on with Matt Kendall alongside. Kurt Holmes and Wayne Dunham make up row 7. Row 8 is Andrew Perry and Karim Hajatsi, and then it's Martin Robinson and Jaden Cadigan to round out your 18 karts for this 6th heat of the day. And, well, we get these heats coming thick and fast, but I'm still slightly catching my breath of the battle of that last heat. Amazing battling. I honestly thought that Craig Brown was changing direction into Osiers on the last lap so quickly that I thought he was going to lose the rear end and lose control of it, to be perfectly honest. Obviously managed to hold on, and but this is... I think that's a fantastic indicator of just how competitive this day is going to get. But we now focus on heat number 6, eyes on the lights, and engine notes will rise as we get away here. Mark Ridout in the number 15. Don't forget, he too had an incident in his first heat, so he's looking to make up for some lost points there. Great start, though, from Steve Bosley, though, challenging on Richard Newton, and I think he's got the job done up into 2nd place as they all stream through the crook for the first time. No, they're still side by side, and indeed the 1-2-4 of Bradley Shears is trying to get involved there, and that was a robust deterrent that Steve Bosley there gave him. He just went, no, you don't, sunshine. I'm busy battling over 2nd here, and just deterred that move as they come into Ashby. Newton feels the need to go defensive, and there's an incident further back, and that looked like 2 karts leaning on each other into the braking zone. Matt Kendall was one of them there in the 55, as Anwar Smith tries to make up some early ground there in the number 3, and that's a retirement there. It is, so he will unfortunately take no further part in this one. As far as we can tell.
The Matt Kendall problem, I think he got wide out of Inkerman's onto the grass and lost it as he then came back onto the circuit. Once again, as I say, you get a little bit of rotation whilst you're on that grass. You're in a bad place here at Whilton Mill today.
Yep.
6 minutes to go then. Mark Ridout leads. Richard Newton 2nd, Steve Bosley 3rd. Jeremy Deeks up there again in P4. Jeff Lamb has lost 5th place to Bradley Shears there in the 1-2-4. Anwar and Kurt coming through the field.
If it seems like time flew by on that first lap when I said they were 8-minute heats, they are 7-minute heats, aren't they? That's the thing I need to remember. That's what.
Of 8 laps.
Yes. If it seemed like lap 1 was slow by the standards I set, that's because my standards were wrong. That is the 91 of Jeff Lamb. Now with Anwar Smith on his tail. That's because Anwar has just got by Bradley Shears for 6th place. But Jeff Lamb himself is looking to put a move on Jeremy Deeks ahead of him. Still Mark Ridout in the lead, as there was Anwar having a little look there, but thought better of it. Not too much field spread at the front of this one, Andrew. Plenty of nose-to-tail action left in this one.
Fastest driver over that 2nd lap of the race. Kurt Holmes, the number 52. You see him there with Anwar Smith.
Yeah, having a look at Anwar. That's Benjamin Robinson.
Don't do that, Benjamin.
That's another incident for Benjamin. That's the 2nd time at that corner that he's gone off today, because we saw him having that incident earlier on with Miller, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure, though. That may have been a restart from the grass. It's all kicking off just behind there. Was Jeff Lamb's under attack from Anwar Smith and from Kurt Holmes, and the tyres and the cone have been ruined there. And I'm not sure on that one. I think that may have been a bit of a 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe there's clear frustration there from Jeff Lamb, but I don't know if maybe he needed to bail a little sooner.
Yeah.
Worth bearing in mind that the sun is still in their eyes, still quite low here at the track, and is in their eyes just as they're coming out of Osiers onto that back straight. That is as the sun comes into your vision. But yeah, that's excuse me. Whilst we've been talking about that for the lead of the race, Richard Newton has got by Mark Ridout, has he not? He 82, now at the head of the field. So change of lead there, and Richard Newton now leads the race ahead of Mark Ridout, who's now got Steve Bosley in his wheel tracks for company, and Jeremy Deeks behind.
A super heavyweight leads the race. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is a great performance so far.
Sorry, not Jeremy Deeks behind. It's Kurt Holmes who's got up there. So Kurt Holmes there in the 52.
But it's just got a bump and pass penalty.
Yes.
I think that may have been for a little bit of rubbing up at Christmas corner. Steve Bosley down the inside. That was a fantastic overtake on Mark Ridout. This is all getting quite spicy, and there was Kurt Holmes up down the inside, and Anwar's trying to fight through as well, following the wheel tracks of Kurt Holmes. Kurt Holmes with a brilliant bit of opportunistic driving there. Steve Bosley's going to try and fight back, dive down the inside. There's also Dave Longman making a move 3 wide as they go into Christmas corner. Somehow they're all pointing in the right direction. Benjamin Robinson's got a bump and pass penalty in his number 14. As down the inside of Bosley goes Anwar Birel Smith, trying to get the move done. He does get the move done through Ashby corner. I get the feeling, Howard, that there's a lot of drivers here. It's all drivers who've had good starts to their day so far. This being their second race, they've seen the likes of Joe Holmes have a good race in heat number 5. They're all very keen in this one to get a bumper score as they go into the final set of races.
Yeah, absolutely. And it won't be lost on Anwar in particular that, you know, Adam Wright and Joe Holmes are featuring in the same heats, and this is a good opportunity for him to score good points. But it's true for many of the drivers out there, as you correctly observe. New fastest lap of the race from Kurt Holmes in his pursuit here of Richard Newton. Bear in mind that if Kurt Holmes does overtake Richard Newton for the lead of the race, he won't be scored as the leader. He has a penalty to be applied at the end of the race. The interesting aspect of this is that Richard Newton, unless he was diligently watching the penalty board and has memorised everybody's number, as David Longman goes down the inside of Jeremy Deeks there at Ashby and leaves Deeks to battle with Jeff Lamb. The thing here is that Richard Newton, in his defence of the lead of this race, Andrew, won't know necessarily that Kurt Holmes has that penalty. But Kurt Holmes now under pressure from Anwar Birel Smith. So Richard Newton may defend the lead of this race to within an inch of his life when he doesn't actually need to. Although he might as well, I suppose, when there's so many karts immediately behind Kurt Holmes as well. He may as well defend like crazy anyway. As we've got 75 seconds left on the clock of this one, as up the hill, Kurt Holmes has a good run here.
Anwar, the first driver of the day into the 54s, but down the inside there goes Kurt Holmes through and past Richard Newton. It was a brave defence from Newton. The C2 driver now leads the race. Anwar Birel Smith, though, as there's a cone penalty for Mark Ridout. Colin abuse shall not be tolerated, as down the inside goes Anwar Birel Smith side by side with Richard Newton. Gives him the space on the corner exits as well. That was good there from Anwar. In fact, Richard Newton got great drive down the back straight and has retained the position.
Yeah, Newton's had several of those instances in this race where he's just been able to hold on to the position when otherwise you'd have thought he would lose it. But here we go on to the last lap. You've got to say that Kurt Holmes has checked out a little bit at the front, but he will not be scored as the leader. What you are watching now in the battle for second on the road is for the lead of this race. So Richard Newton is right to be defending like crazy here against Anwar Birel Smith. He's got one of the best in the business on his tail right now, but he's been having a sterling drive so far, has Richard Newton. Through Inkermans they go. And he goes straight to the inside to defend here. Steve Bosley is sniffing around for the opportunity as well, but there on the exit, great exit from Anwar Birel Smith. Great drive through the corner, and Anwar Birel Smith moves up into second place, which perhaps unbeknownst to him is the net lead of the race. As Mark Ridout here has a look at Jeremy Deeks as well. Onto the back straight then comes the effective leaders into the boot. Are there any more moves on here? No, I don't think there are. So coming through here, it will be Kurt Holmes who crosses the line first, but he has a penalty for bump and pass. So it will be the win for Anwar Birel Smith, with Richard Newton scoring some really good points. He looks a bit frustrated, but he has accrued some brilliant points there in what will be classified as second. Steve Bosley in fourth to be moved up to third, I would predict. Jeff Lamb in fifth to be moved up to fourth. Then I think it would be Kurt Holmes, David Longman, Jeremy Deeks, Bradley Shears, Mark Ridout, Wayne Dunham, highest placed of your Class 3 runners, although I think we did see a penalty for him potentially maybe, early on. Benjamin Robinson, fastest lap of the race, but it's really not his day for the second time ending up on the grass and with a penalty to be applied. Matt Kendall, Jaden Cadigan, Andrew Perry, Martin Robinson, and then we'll expect Blake Temperley and Karim Hajatsi was a retirement we saw early on. That's it for heat number 6. Quick break here ahead of heat number 7.
Drivers heading out then for heat number 7 out of 12 here at Whilton Mill. You're watching live coverage of the Club 100 Heavyweight Sprint Championship for 2020. Here's your grid then for this heat. Oliver Moss starts on pole position in the hopefully blessed number 44. Vinod Hirani alongside him on that front row. Jack Bolton, good chance for him to get some good points here from row 2 alongside Lenny Wood. Richard Burrows and Gary Miller start on row 3. Miguel Hall and Sean Briley, 2 fast drivers looking to move forward from row number 4. Jordan Hawkins and Alex Pritchard start from the midfield there on row 5. Lee Henderson and Dimitri Zeldin go from row 6. And then it's James Workman and Chris Solomon from row 7. James Fremont and Chris Wharton on row 8. Lewis McKinnon and Jason Bear on row 9 in this one.
Do please keep interacting with us here in the box, either via the YouTube comments on the stream or hashtag Club100 Live on Twitter or at @MM. You can also direct your tweets directly to us here in the box. Great to have you along. Do please like, share, subscribe, let people know. Even after the fact, folks, even if there's a lot of motorsport going on this weekend, share it so that people can enjoy it at their leisure as well. Let's get people talking about this fantastic championship. It is good to go, though, here for heat number 7, and away we go. Oliver Moss leads them away, and it's a good start from that pole side because Jack Bolton's immediately up into second place as they stream through turns 1 and 2. You can still see the damp patches, and it's that's making these starts challenging at the moment. As up the hill, it is Moss ahead of Jack Bolton as they all come through Christmas corner for the first time of this heat. Down into Ashby they'll go. There in third place is Vinod Hirani. He's been able to hold on to a high position, having started second there. Looks like a strong start again from Lenny Wood and Miguel Hall. Now, Lenny had some great pace in his heat earlier. It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on here as he looks down the inside of Vinod Hirani, but he's got to be careful because Miguel Hall is not a driver who needs a second invitation to put a move on here. And here coming round then in what... Oh, and look at this, 3 wide coming into paddock. They're going to have to sort themselves out. So it is Miguel Hall who comes through on top. Beautiful judgment there by Miguel Hall, and I think Jordan Hawkins has benefited from that as well. It's Oliver Moss from Jack Bolton, Miguel Hall, Lenny Wood, Jordan Hawkins, Richard Burrows, Lee Henderson, Vinod Hirani, Sean Briley and Gary Miller to round out that top 10. Up the hill this time, look at this, Miguel Hall having to defend hard against Lenny Wood, and there is the 50 of Sean Briley making progress as well up through the top 10. I think that was getting past Lee Henderson and Vinod Hirani as well. There through the top of the corners again. Lenny Wood looks down the inside of Miguel Hall. That's going to leave them surely at risk from attack from Jordan Hawkins behind, and the likes of Sean Briley there in the black and yellow. They're chasing them, trying to get up the top 10. Here he is going down the inside of Jordan Hawkins, and the 32 of Lee Henderson fancies a bit of that as well, but can't quite convert it. So it is Briley ahead at the moment in this battle as they come through the boot to complete lap number 2. And look at this, Hawkins has managed to find a way through there. Great drive off the second part of the boot, and he's going to get Sean Briley back again. Really good driving today from Jordan Hawkins so far. Hawkins is really strong through the boot. That's 2 laps in a row now that he's been able to make a move through there. Lee Henderson trying to find his way past, I think that was Richard Burrows. Alex Pritchard has made a move past Gary Miller as well. In fact, no, Gary Miller's got up ahead. No, it's the opposite way round. Gary Miller has got ahead of Alex Pritchard, who both got ahead of Lee Henderson. I think Vinod Hirani is on the back of that group as well. Cone penalty for Miller. Yeah, big moment there for Lee Henderson breaking into Christmas corner. We've all done it when you just catch the brake and the back end tries to step out. Yeah. But the good thing about Christmas at least is that there's enough width to the track and indeed runoff that it forgives you. You'll lose time, but at least you'll live to race another corner. Pritchard down the inside of Gary Miller there, gets the move done as they come onto the back straight. The Applewood independent driver. Here are your 2 leaders out there on circuit, Oliver Moss and Jack Bolton. Yep, they've both been setting personal bests, and indeed Jack Bolton, although it's just been taken away from him by Jordan Hawkins, has been holding on to the fastest lap of the race for the last couple of laps. And here he goes down the inside. Clean move, nicely done. And Moss, will he take it? No, he won't. He's going to fight back here, side by side. Through Inkermans they will go, and it stays as they were down into Ashby. Nice question and answer there between Jack Bolton and Oliver Moss. They did the work to try and bridge a bit of a gap so that they can enjoy having this battle without being too much under threat. So I wonder if maybe they'll hold station for a bit now and try and pull that gap back out again, because they had been working well here. No, Bolton does see an opportunity. No, it's not going to be. It's going to be denied by Oliver Moss. Strong on the brakes there into the boot. So again, this is. I know it's a heat. It's not a trophy final, but this is quite we're seeing the battles break up relatively early here, Andrew, as there is Jordan Hawkins battling with Lenny Wood, and Hawkins goes through and up into 4th place.
I think once again, and I'm sounding like a broken record here, this top 2 need to keep working together.
Yeah.
That number 27 is on a flyer in this race, Jordan Hawkins, and 3 minutes to close in 3.5 seconds or there or thereabouts. It's doable. It's especially doable if the top 2 start squabbling too much.
Absolutely, and Miguel Hall as well in there. He can never be discounted. He's had Miguel Hall. He's had 5 heat wins this year, so he is definitely in with a shout of that as well. As we were just looking there, Lee Henderson there in the 32, now under pressure from Gary Miller. Although, did you say it was a cone penalty that Miller picked up? So even if Miller gets by, he would be classified behind Henderson. But again, unless someone has magically memorised the numbers of all of their fellow competitors, they won't necessarily be aware of that. Again, Oliver Moss and Jack Bolton set fast laps, but Miguel Hall and Jordan Hawkins both set personal bests. For Jordan Hawkins, that personal best is also a race best, a 55.105. As through the top of the circuit, Jack Bolton's trying just a little bit of a different line, seeing if he can find an opportunity to get by. Through Ashby they go, and then you can see the gap is not that much to Miguel Hall, as there is Sean Briley going down the inside of Lenny Wood. So Sean Briley up into that 5th place. And you know what, if there's enough battling, here they are paired off. You saw 1 and 2, and there's 3rd and 4th place, Sean Briley and Lenny Wood. And you know, if these battles kick off towards the end, you can't even discount Sean Briley, to be honest, in that 5th place. Albeit there's only 90 seconds left on the clock now, so it's going to be 2 more laps after this one. And they have all paired off rather nicely, haven't they, amongst this top 6.
And there's some traffic that they're potentially going to catch as well. I think it may be Lewis McKinnon in the 125. So they need to be aware of that.
He's getting out of the way there.
That's good driving.
Yeah. As Miguel Hall now feeling the need to go defensive against Jordan Hawkins, and Lenny Wood here fighting back against Sean Briley. Briley going defensive through Christmas Corner. So I think these drivers have made the judgment call. They've gone, nope, we're not catching up to the lead battle. Now's the time to fight. And here is Lenny Wood trying down the inside of Sean Briley into Ashby, but Sean Briley's going to get a good line out of it, side by side. Inside line will be with Wood for the next corner, but Briley round the outside says, oh no you don't, Sonny, and holds on to that position. That was beautifully judged from Sean Briley to retain that position.
And he's got to get his head forward now, try and get a bit of a gap so he doesn't have to defend on this final lap of the race, which is going to start any moment now. Bound to the final corner. There go the leaders. They see the last lap board. Oliver Moss from Jack Bolton. And the 3rd place battle, Miguel Hall and Jordan Hawkins. Alex Pritchard has just put in a 54.792, a brilliant lap there as Hawkins tries to find a way past Hall now. Hall defends into Christmas Corner. Very nicely done there. Is there going to be something down into Ashby Corner for Hawkins to have a look at? No, he's a little bit too far back. Briley is having to defend though, because yes, Lenny Wood has been pushed along by Alex Pritchard, and here comes Alex Pritchard, who's on an absolute fly down the inside there for the lead of the race. Jack Bolton takes the lead of the race with a matter of corners to go. Can he hold on to it through the boots for the final time in this 7th heat of the day? Oh, big send by Oliver Moss, and contact was made and he's had to yield the position. That was sensible. 3rd place is going on as well. Hawkins and nearly made contact with Hall, but Jack Bolton wins it. Oliver Moss 2nd, Miguel Hall 3rd, Jordan Hawkins 4th. Sean Briley holds on for 5th ahead of Lenny Wood and Alex Pritchard. Then it was Richard Burrows, James Workman, Gary Miller, your top 10. Lee Henderson, Jason Baird, the top C3 runner. Vinod Hirani, Chris Wharton, Dimitri Zeldin, Chris Solomon, James Fremont, and Lewis McKinnon.
We're being treated to some really good racing here at Whilton Mill. Next up is going to be heat number 8 in our heavyweights. Let's take you through the grid then. Paul Goddard had a sterling heat earlier on today. Going to be interesting to see how he does with this one from pole position. Stephen Downs alongside Mark Appleton and Alexander Lamb in your 2nd row, with Ben Bennyworth and Jonathan Elliott on row number 3. Andrew Cherry and Richard Dallin will be your 4th row, honest, when it comes up in a moment. And it will be Paul Williams and Stuart Simmons to round out the top 10. Then it will be Dave Pethers and Chris Griswood on row 6, row 7 is going to be Anthony Ridd and Will Appleton. There'll be Sonny Cundy and Matthew Batter. On row 8 and row 9 will be Chris Kirk and Nick Pollicott.
Big thanks to our sponsors, new sponsors of the stream today. Stream from Alpha Live, as you say, sponsored by Navos Technology Solutions you can trust. Go check them out if you're in the market for digital and IT services and security. Big thanks to ROTAX as well, Club 100 in association with ROTAX, providing all these ROTAX Evo engines to keep this fleet running strong. This is the final heat of rotation number 2. Paul Goddard performed brilliantly earlier on today. What can he do from pole position? Away they go then for the start of heat number 8, and for the first time today we see P2 get a really, really good start. Fantastic stuff there from Stephen Downs. He's held that position. What can he do up to Christmas corner? I think he's just going to hold there for now. Ben Bennyworth to vent to the inside. One driver, I think it's Paul Williams, is on the grass. Oh, Stuart Simmons is all crossed up in the middle of Christmas corner. There's a bit of bumping and barging, Howard, but apart from that, we're all still running.
Yeah, they all did well to keep that together. They went 4 wide in the mid-pat there, and I think that's what just led Paul Williams to end up on the grass. Just not a lot of room left there. But this is your battle for the lead. Paul Goddard having a good start with Stephen Downs. As you say, Andrew, that is the best start we've seen from second on the grid. They haven't had the rub of the green this time, although some of them nearly had the rub of the green by taking to the grass. But this was a good start this time from Stephen Downs, and the rest of the Antipole. Was quite an even start from either side of the grid as they come around to finish their first lap, which, as you noted, I'm delighted to say, was clean. Paul Goddard ahead of Stephen Downs, Mark Appleton. Ben Bennyworth has had a good start as well to get up to 4th. Alexander Lamb, Jonathan Elliott, your top 6. Sonny Cundy up 7 positions on that first lap. As look at this for the lead of the race. Stephen Downs down the inside at Christmas corner, but Paul Goddard is going to hang in there through the left-hand kink we like to call Boxing Day, and then through the right-hander at Inkermans. That was beautifully judged by Paul Goddard to hold on to it. Meanwhile, behind them, Ben Bennyworth has got by on Mark Appleton. Here is the number 96 now ahead of the 87. Jonathan Elliott and Richard Allen there close in hand as well, looking for any opportunity to get by on Mark Appleton. And that must mean, if they both got past Alexander Lammin as well, I think there's been quite a bit of change in that part of the order. There's Ben Bennyworth, and yeah, here is Jonathan Elliott versus Richard Allen, and Richard Allen has got by there. So it is all change, and yes, Alexander Lammin has dropped down to 6th place on that one. So this is the battle now over 4th place, but this is the battle for the lead. As is there a yellow flag out there at Christmas that was being acknowledged there? Yes, there is. Yep. There is a yellow. Was that a static yellow? Or
Yeah, it was a static yellow. Can't quite see what it's for. Track limit warning for the number 11 of Paul Goddard, your leader.
On full course, I think.
No, well, the yellows have come back in now. Yep. So we're back up to full racing speed. That's why the number 87 is slow. So it's Mark Appleton is unfortunately out of this race. But good scrap here going on between Richard Allen and Ben Bennyworth.
Yeah, Paul Goddard at the moment absorbing the pressure.
Wide.
Yeah, but runs wide just as I say that. And Stephen Downs is going to be down the inside of paddock. But you wouldn't put it past Paul Goddard, to be honest. He's been racing so well. Stephen Downs says, let's now work together to bridge the gap. He makes a compelling argument because the rest of the field aren't that far behind. Richard Allen, you'll see just there in the 26, is pushing hard here. In fact, there's a whole super heavyweight clan here coming up through the order in the form of Richard Allen, Ben Bennyworth and Jonathan Elliott.
Stephen Downs had a little nibble there of the beast below curb.
Yes.
He judged that very, very well, either by luck or judgment. I'm not quite sure which one it was, but got away with it. It's Ben Bennyworth. He's having a really strong day. He's been a bit frustrated recently with some of the bad luck that he's been having.
This is Jonathan Elliott, though, having a look at him into the boot. And Ben Bennyworth there did well to hold on around the outside in a similar vein to what we saw Joe Holmes do a couple of races ago. That was a good retention of his spot from Ben Bennyworth. And really, these super heavyweight drivers need to take inspiration from this man here, Richard Allen, who's managed to set the pace and get himself onto the back of those ahead of them. They need to work together, those super heavyweight drivers. there, Ben Bennyworth and Jonathan Elliott. I'm not sure that this battling is conducive to them getting the best result. It's going to allow Stuart Simmons there in the blue and pink helmet to have a look at them. And he's also brought Alexander Lamin along for the party. And indeed, here goes Simmons having a look down the inside of Elliott into Ashby. But that's going to allow as well Lamin to come through. So good opportunism by Lamin, following through on the opportunities that Simmons is throwing out to him.
To be mentioned that there's been a cone penalty for Anthony Ridd, currently down in 11th place. So that will be a place deducted for him. Curb warning as well for Paul Goddard as number 37.
Yep, that is Lamin following through past Ben Bennyworth. So on that lap, Stuart Simmons and Alexander Lamin both cleared those two super heavyweight runners in the form of Ben Bennyworth and Jonathan Elliott. They'll now set about trying to close the gap to Richard Allen.
2 minutes to go then of this 8th heat out of 12. Track limit warning for Jonathan Elliott.
Dave Pether's on the scene here, Andrew, as well. He's caught on to the back of them now.
Chris Criswood is flying as well. He's just done 54.838, so look out for the number 57 in the latter stages of this race.
It's all closing up quite nicely here. Oh, that's a big move for Paul Goddard. He misjudged that completely and has collected the tyres, and that was completely unforced there. I think he was trying to defend, but he just went out wide there on the exit and collected the tyres, and that's a disappointing moment in what has otherwise been an extremely impressive day's showing so far from Paul Goddard. But that will surely be a cone penalty of some sort there, because the tyres were sent packing there on the apex of the second part of Osiers.
This is giving me some kind of solace after yesterday. It's something to do with the track conditions and the tyres this weekend that when you get one of those, because that will have been snap oversteer, that it'll have just gone and slid out wide, and there will have been nothing that Paul would have been able to he wasn't able to pull that back. And I think it's just one of those things, if you get, say, a tyre width too wide and offline at the moment, and you don't quite fathom it as you start to do that, that's what happens, and you just slide off completely and collect the tyres.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see the water still being thrown up from the curb as well. We have had we had a lot of rain yesterday afternoon.
Had a lot of rain last night as well. I live locally enough to this track to report that it chucked it down last night as well. So plenty of moisture offline, off circuit. We are on the last lap though. Stephen Downs leads this one. And have we covered the fact that Richard Allen got by on... Oh, of course, Paul Goddard collecting the tyres allowed Richard Allen up into second place. But this, though, is the many and varied competitors over the rest of the top 10 as they come through Osiers here. But it is going to be this man right here, Stephen Downs, who guides his kart through the last few corners. Had to work for it. Paul Goddard made him work hard for it in the early phases, but it is going to be Stephen Downs who takes the win. Richard Allen with a good second place there. Paul Goddard finishes third. Haven't seen a penalty for him, incidentally. No. So it's not our call to make.
He may have got away with
that. Stuart Simmons, I suppose we didn't see the early part of the incident. Don't know if maybe he was forced out wide or something, but Stuart Simmons in fourth, Alexander Lamin in fifth, sixth for Jonathan Elliott. Then it was Dave Pether's, Chris Criswood, Ben Bennyworth and Paul Williams to round out your top 10. Chris Kirk, highest place in the Class 3 runners there in 11th. Anthony Ridd, Matthew Batter, and they're already coming out onto the circuit, which must mean it's time for us to talk about heat number 9.
Away we go then for heat number 9. For these drivers, this will be their last heat of the morning. Let's have a look at the grid. Jordan Salter starts on pole position alongside Lee Henderson, Dimitri Zeldin and Jeff Lamb on row 2. Bradley Shears and Stuart Jones on row 3, Lenny Wood and Darren Townsley on row 4, Vinod Hirani and Jeremy Deeks start on row 5. Adam Wright and Dave Longman go from row 6, then it'll be Doug Cook and Simon Kavanagh on row 7. Lewis McKinnon and Luke Phillips on row 8, Wayne Dunham and Karim Hijazi on row 9, 18 karts in the field.
Thank you to all of those of you who follow and like Alpha Live Productions on Facebook, we have our little indicator here, which is making a light bonging noise every time somebody likes the page. So thank you. Now to 4,711 likes. It's being displayed to me live here. So do please show your support for Alpha Live, as we're good to go away here for heat number 10. Jordan Salter on pole in the number 42. It again is a good even start from both sides of the grid as they come into Oblivion and the Crook for the first time. And actually, yeah, Lee Henderson is looking racy here from second on the grid. We mentioned how second place in the last race had a good start. Here, second place is challenging for the lead. Lee Henderson down the inside of Jordan Salter at the top of the hill, as behind them Stuart Jones, and Jeff Lamb negotiate third place through the top of the course. But it's a great start from Lee Henderson, as onto the grass there goes the 38 of Lenny Wood. So it's a dramatic moment there, but he's able to hold it together and get back onto circuit without incident there, as there's Stuart Jones going down the inside of Jordan Salter now for second, and Stuart Jones is going to shoot for the lead immediately there on Lee Henderson and gets the job done, does he? No, Lee Henderson is going to fight back. He's got good drive in that car as Henderson, and it's side by side towards the boot, but it is going to be Stuart Jones who takes the lead and Jeff Lamb who follows down behind him. So it's Stuart Jones ahead of Jeff Lamb, with Lee Henderson defending like mad in third place. Dramatic first lap there in heat number 9, excuse me.
Yeah, this is often something that we see in the last heat of, or the last rotation of heats, I should say. This is drivers who have either had two good ones in so far and wanted to wrap it up as they're almost four wide there. Dave Longman gets forced out wide.
Yeah.
But you've also got drivers who've not had a good day so far. Four wide into Christmas. How on earth has nobody come off worse in all of that? In fact, I spoke too soon there as one driver, I think it's the number 21 of Dimitri Selden, is on the grass. But yeah, your drivers who've not had a good day so far, this is it now. They've got one opportunity to get a good score in. Otherwise, you could risk being in the C final.
Absolutely. Down the inside goes Adam Wright there on Jordan Salter. So that's Wright up to fourth place now. And he'll next try and see if there's a way past Lee Henderson. Lee Henderson's driving really well here. Really got up to the lead, of course, from second on the grid. And yes, he has been passed by Jones and Lamb, but I think he's racing well at the moment, as there's a contact warning for Adam Wright and Jeff Lamb, indeed. Contact warnings for both of those drivers in the early phases here, as Stuart Jones does feel the need to go defensive here against Jeff Lamb. And Jordan Salter keeping himself in touch with this top four in the background there. In the number 42, he obviously has fallen slightly since he started on pole, but don't count him out of this, as Adam Wright's going to look down the inside of Lee Henderson here into Ashby Corner, and a lovely move there from Adam Wright. He made that look very easy, and it's not, basically, into Ashby Corner. It's downhill braking. Often, I find it always feels like it tightens up on the apex. It's not the widest entry.
It's one of those I find that, you don't want to brake too hard, because you risk locking up, especially downhill, as Adam Wright looks up the inside of Jeff Lamb and slips through there for that position. You almost want to roll the car into that space between the person that you're trying to overtake and the apex of the corner, and let them know nice and early, I'm here, and I'm taking that corner from you. Do not allow them to turn back in. But look at this fight for the lead. Adam Wright down the inside of Stuart Jones into Christmas Corner and gets the overtake done. Great stuff again from Adam Wright. You just see him there wanting to warm the engine up a little bit, and sort of a little bit of tyre smoke as well. The karts are so finely on the knife edge, I'm finding, this weekend. And this is where the good drivers come to the fore, of which I am not one of them. Coming to just be able to hold the kart in that situation. Yep, allow a little bit of locking, but not panic too much and not run too wide.
Adam Wright has had just a stellar first 4 laps of this race, hasn't he? As Lee Henderson is looking to come back against Jeff Lamb here and gets the job done. Beautiful stuff from Lee Henderson there as they come onto lap number 5. This is, let's not forget, Adam Wright's only heat today that doesn't have a Joe Holmes in it.
Yeah.
So this is a good opportunity for Adam Wright to secure the full 20. Not that the other ones weren't. He is a caliber of driver who can take the fight to Joe Holmes, but he hasn't got as much of that pressure. It's arguably an easier opportunity for him to gain the 20 points that you can gain for winning one of these heats, as he sets a new fastest lap of the race, by the way, and has been doing so for the last few laps, a 55.067. Stuart Jones, I think, is going to struggle to keep up that level of pace, and indeed he's under pressure from a charging Lee Henderson here.
I was about to say, Lee Henderson has really been impressing me the last few rounds. He's got a lot of confidence at the moment. He's getting in the mix. Over start, finish they go. Right from Jones, Henderson, Lamb, Salter, Dave Longman is on the move as well. He's got up to 6th place. In fact, I think that's because Vinod Hirani has had a problem. Vinod Hirani falling a long way down the order and is now down in 14th place. He's lost about 10 seconds. Lewis McKinnon up a spot as well to 15th past Luke Phillips. The racing coming thick and fast here at Whilton Mill. You're watching live coverage of the Club 100 Heavyweight Sprint Championship for 2020, round 7 of the season here at Whilton Mill.
Supported by Navos.
Yep.
Head to navos.co.uk for technology solutions you can trust. And we're very grateful to them for their support of the stream here today.
Penalty for Jeremy Deeks, and I'm going to put 1 and 1 together and hopefully not get 3. It's an ABC takeout penalty. I think that's why we saw Vinod Hirani falling down the order, because they were in a similar area of the field. So that'll be +6 positions for Jeremy Deeks. That could be crucial. That's the kind of penalty that if you end up with one of those, that can take you out of a mid to back end of the A final grid slot and into the B final. We should explain for those not aware of the format or just needing a bit of a refresher. All the points, all the positions from the 3 heats that a driver competes in across the course of the morning are tallied up. They form the order from first to last, and the first, let me get this right, 24 drivers end up in the A final. The next batch end up in the B final, but there's an opportunity to race through 2 spots in the A final if you finish in the top 2 of the B final. So they'll be looking for that. But then we also have the C final, which tends to be more of the developing drivers, the C3 drivers, and drivers who haven't had such a good day. They've got their final and a chance to race for 1 of 4 places to get through to the B final. It is possible to go from a C to an A, but it's pretty hard work.
It's very hard work. And we did see, we should mention, by the way, we were talking a lot about Bayford, which was our last stream round, but since then we have had our round at Lyd.
Yes.
And we should give mention to Jack Bolton, who we saw winning earlier today. He did give it a very good go at Lyd, didn't he? He was down in the C final, managed to race up to win that C finals. We're on the last lap, by the way. Adam Wright coming around here, and he will take a well-deserved win. What a way he took took this one right by the horns and has brought it home for a brilliant win in heat number 9. Stuart Jones in second. Lee Henderson, what a drive from him to finish in third. And unless anyone beats it this time around, he's going to have the fastest lap of the race as well. Jeff Lamb in fourth, then Jordan Salter, David Longman, Bradley Shears, Jeremy Deeks, Wayne Dunham, highest place class 3 ahead of Simon Kavanagh. Lenny Wood, difficult one for him, maybe in 11th there to make progress. Darren Townsley, Vinod Hirani, then we expected to be Lewis McKinnon in 14th. Karem Hijatsi, delighted to say he has finished this one. We saw him retiring from his second heat earlier on. Dimitri Zeldin and Luke Phillips will round out these 17 karts. But yeah, it is possible, but if any of them can help it, they'd rather not do it. That's what they're aiming for in these heats. As we look ahead, as the last few of the drivers come through, that's Hirani there, and that's Hijatsi. But on the dummy grid, they are getting ready. I can hear them for heat number 10. Let's go straight into the grid then for this one. Kurt Holmes will start this one from pole with Dave Pethers alongside Chris Griswood and Craig Brown make up row number 2 with Lewis Ridd and Mark Ridout on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Alexander Lamin and Blake Templey with Stephen Downs and James Taylor making up row 5. Row 6 will be Sean Briley and Richard Burrows, and then it's going to be Jonathan Elliott and Jaden Cadigan on row number 7. Row 8 will be Chris Kirk and James Fremont, and then it will be Chris Wharton and James Dunnett on row number 9. This one looks quite interesting to me as well as a grid, to be honest, mate. I think this one could get entertaining. As you mentioned, it is the final cycle of heats, and that does have a slight, almost like race 3 of the day in the British touring cars. It just all gets that little bit crazier in the final cycle of heats. Although, unlike British touring cars, they do have to keep these karts in racing orders for a trophy final. So.
And a load of lightweights as well.
There is that.
To speak for the lightweights, please take care of the karts, drivers. Away we go then. Muttley to the left, telling him to be nice and calm. Red, green, racing again. And once again, the pole side of the grid gets a really good start.
Dave Pethers is going to hang in there, Andrew, and he's going to retain second place as they all stream through. That was a great start there. Look at the gap that Kurt Holmes has up the hill. As side by side goes Lewis Reed and Craig Brown there over fourth place, or even third place. And I think Lewis Reed has come out tops on that one. So good start for him there. As there's Mark Ridout now looking down the inside of Craig Brown into Ashby.
Very clean move, very nice move as well. Stephen Downs is in there. There really are a lot of big hitters in this one. Sean Briley in the number 50 has fought his way past a couple of the C2 drivers, defending now from Alexander Lamond in the 37. Look out for James Taylor as well in the 111. Pethers a little bit slow down the back straight. He's going to lose out here to Lewis Reed. A really good start from this set of drivers here in heat number 10. Brown down the inside of Downs there, over start finish. The gap is 1.5 seconds for Kurt Holmes. That's ridiculous.
That's
ridiculous.
A
brilliant start. You can see him there just trying to keep the engine warm. Quite a few of the drivers trying to keep their engines warm. They're not touching the flap. They're as long as they don't start changing the angle of the radiator flap there. Sean Briley's on the grass there. Oh, can he get it back under control? He's on the grass again. Yes, he can. Well done, Sean. Well done. That could have been a lot worse, but he managed to get it. He kept it in a nice straight line. He didn't let the back end get out, lived to fight for another day, but he has got positions to make up now, as he's probably slipped down to, what, about 13th, 14th place?
Yeah, and we briefly saw Jonathan Elliott and Chris Gristwood battling as well. It'll be now over, I think it'll be over 8th place, if I've worked out all these change of position correctly. But this is Alexander Lamond there having a look at Craig Brown. But yeah, we've still got plenty of this one to go. And I have a feeling it's got a lot of potential in it to get interesting here. Lewis Reed has just set the fastest lap of the race, trying to close down that gap on Kurt Holmes. And this is Stephen Downs down the inside of Dave Pethers. They both go out and use all of the runoff there of Christmas Corner, and that is going to allow Craig Brown to get involved, but Craig Brown ends up on the grass, but he managed to come back on. He's got to be careful as he re-enters. He is careful as he re-enters, but that's Alexander Lamond through, and also Jonathan Elliott through as well. It's getting really interesting out there, isn't it, for the grip?
I had my heart in my mouth at that point, because I was thinking, Craig, that's a very... Stephen Downs has got a problem. Stephen Downs has a problem and is slow. But I was thinking with Craig Brown, that's a very trusting position to put yourself in, mate. If someone has a bit of an understeer moment on your inside, and that's exactly what happens. Stephen Downs is back to race pace. Did he have a problem coming off of Osiers, perhaps, that we didn't quite see on the cameras? He seems fine now. Well, he's having a look down there at the engine. 4 minutes of this one to go. Lewis Reed is pulling Kurt Holmes in. He's just done a 55.0 compared to a 55.3, rounded up to the nearest 10th for Holmes, as Brown is exploring the limits of the circuit once more, side by side with Stuart Downs. Give just about enough room to each other. James Taylor's getting involved now as well. And Brown goes through a bit of rally cross and nearly loses the back end as he comes back onto the circuit. Sean Briley is starting to pick up some positions now as well. Chris Gristwood is benefiting from all of this. There you see him, the number 57.
On the whole, great racing respect, though, shown between Craig Brown and Stephen Downs there. Side by side through Wilkins is no easy thing to do, and both come out the other side to tell the tale. Dave Pethers now under pressure from Jonathan Elliott. This is over fourth place, and Jonathan Elliott is going to go down the inside, and Alexander Lamond is going to brilliantly follow through as well.
Yep.
So Dave Pethers is down 2 positions in one corner there, and this is Lamond going down the inside of Jonathan Elliott. Is it? No, thinks better of it. It is difficult to get that pass under the brakes into Ashby. Some people make it look easy, but it does have to be a genuine opportunity. There's no point going for a half-hearted attempt into Ashby, because it usually will end in tears. This is Sean Briley and Craig Brown battling away with James Taylor. That's over 9th, 10th and 11th. Lots of battles going on here, plenty of time left in this race, and still, as you say, Andrew, Lewis Reed, a new fastest lap of the race. That time, that's actually Mark Ridout just beat the fastest lap of the race, a 54.631. We are now getting, Andrew, to the kind of pace that you and I saw yesterday here for fastest laps amongst the Endurance 60 and Sprint 60 ranks before the rain came. Well, actually, the Sprint 60 had rain right from the get-go. It was on the last lap of the Endurance 60 race yesterday, practically, the rain hit us that day. But we were seeing times in the 54s as Jonathan Elliott has gone through on Alexander Lamin there, or taken it back off of him, I think.
Downs has got past Pethers as well.
Yeah, sorry, that's
sixth place.
Yes, sorry, that's the change that's happened there, isn't it? Downs has indeed got past Pethers. 90 seconds of this one left on the clock.
Sean Briley up to 9th as well. But look at this. Lead battle is on. Kurt Holmes has been caught. And will Lewis Ridd go for the move into Christmas corner? You can see get his head down. Holmes is aware that he's there. Defends to the inside. Actually defends that really, really well.
Mark Ridout will sit happily there in third, wait for the opportunity. He has got the most pace of this three at the moment. He's been setting the fastest lap of the race, although he will, of course, been helped on the run up to Christmas by the drag effect off of these two.
Yep.
This is going to be interesting. We're going to have one more lap of this. As we keep saying, this is these drivers at the last of their 3 heats. This is their last opportunity to optimise their grid position on the all-important trophy final. And for a moment, I thought there that Lewis Ridd was going to genuinely have a look around the outside of the early part of the boot, but actually it's compromised him, and Ridout is going to find a way through. And here, coming on to the last lap, has that exchange given Kurt Holmes just enough as they come on to the last lap. Lewis Ridd comes back at Ridout into the... Where did that come from? Great run out of Paddock. They're going to be side-by-side up the hill. This is gifting the win to Kurt Holmes, though, but they're going to be both shrimping, ducking their heads, and Ridout will go down the inside of Christmas to take second place. And now I think Kurt Holmes just has to stroke this one home.
Yeah, he's got that gap now. He doesn't need to defend. Mark Ridout, though, does need to defend if he's going to hold on to that second place. Jonathan Elliott and Alexander Lamin are going at it as well for 4th and 5th. There's a yellow flag out as they go through Wilkins. Not quite sure what it's for. Was it tyres? We'll have to wait and see. But Kurt Holmes is going to take his first win of the day, second on the road. But of course he had a penalty in one of his earlier races, which took that one away from him, but not this time. Round the final corner, Kurt Holmes takes heat number 10. Mark Ridout second, Lewis Ridd third, 4th for Jonathan Elliott, 5th Alexander Lamin, 6th Stephen Downs, 7th Dave Pethers, 8th for Sean Briley, 9th Craig Brown, 10th there he is James Taylor, ahead of Chris Kirk and Jaden Cadigan. James Dunnett, Blake Templey, Chris Wharton, James Fremont, Richard Burrows and Chris Griswood. So Chris Griswood had a problem there, Howard, in that one. Finished 2 laps off the lead.
Absolutely. That's going to be unfortunate for him. We are already, though, here at Whilton Mill looking ahead to heat number 11. Let's go into a grid then for heat number 11. It's going to be James Workman on pole. Benjamin Robinson will be really hoping to salvage a good result. He's had a difficult couple of heats so far today as Benjamin Robinson. He'll be starting on second. Matt Kendall and Stuart Simmons will be on row 2. There we go. Row 3 is going to be Jack Bolton and Mark Appleton. Row 4 will be Oliver Moss and Richard Newton, Anwar Burrell Smith and Paul Williams rounding out the top 10 with Ben Bennyworth and Joe Holmes on row 6. Miguel Hall and Jason Bear on row 7. Row 8 will be Andrew Perry and Tim Williams. And then Sonny Cundy and Martin Robinson round out your 18 karts. Some interesting names in the middle of this one. Not least having this is the first time we've seen Anwar Burrell Smith and Joe Holmes in the same race together. There's the 14 of Benjamin Robinson. Not had the best day so far. He's ended up on the grass on the outside of Christmas corner twice. Not always of his own making either. Penalties in the last heat, so he'll be looking for a good start. But it is James Workman there in the 63 who starts this one on pole. It's going to be interesting to see how our two sides of the grid get away this time. It has been quite variable over the course of today. Here we are, good for the start. It's going to be eyes on the lights. Look to that digi-flag to the right for it to go green, and we are green. Engine notes rise, and away we go. And there's already some people frustrated with their start. It looks to me, I saw someone waving their arms in the background, but it's a good start from both sides of the grid. And Benjamin Robinson is able to hold on to second as James Workman leads them up the hill. Stuart Simmons with a good start here, Jack Bolton as well. challenging Matt Kendall there over 4th place as they come through Christmas corner, and they all go a little bit wide, and someone's going across the grass. He's got to be careful there. Oh, that was fortunate for Mark Appleton there in the 87 to have made it through with no contact there with any other competitors, as there's a contact warning for Joe Holmes already possibly involved in what was going on. The little contretemps we saw at the top of the hill. Paul Williams having to defend hard here from Miguel Hall, and look at this, Joe Holmes trying to go through there, really having to crowbar a gap there through, just trying to work out. Oh, that's Benjamin Robinson again, and it's just not been his day there today for Benjamin Robinson. He's going to have it all to do in the C final. You've got to think he's a strong contender for the win in that C final, but it has just not been his day through these heats, as there's a penalty for Stuart Simmons for ABC takeout on Benjamin Robinson. Meanwhile, though, this is Oliver Moss challenging Jack Bolton over 2nd place. And this is battle rejoined, of course, from whichever heat it was in which those two were battling over the lead. As Stuart Simmons is onto the back of them now, albeit he has a 4th-place penalty to be applied at the end of the race for that takeout penalty on Benjamin Robinson. And Will Smith now challenging Matt Kendall. That's over 5th place. And actually, that means Anwar's got by on Joe Holmes. Does it not? Because Joe Holmes is further back here, following Miguel Hall. So Anwar has managed to get by on Joe Holmes. No, he hasn't. He's right behind them. That order isn't quite right. There's been more changes than I'm making out there. It's now Workman from Bolton, Oliver Moss in 3rd, Stuart Simmons 4th, Miguel Hall in 5th, Joe Holmes in 6th, Anwar Birel-Smith in 7th. Look at this up the hill then, though. This is for the lead of the race. Jack Bolton has got great drive and is going to go by James Workman. And this is difficult for Workman. He's out to dry on the outside. He's going to go straight from the lead to 6th place. And that is devastating for Workman there. He's going to feel a bit punch drunk, I reckon, after that one. But he is going to have the opportunity to fight back. It means he's lost the overall lead within his class as well, because there's Miguel Hall now in 4th place in that number 18.
That's really hard.
Yeah.
That's really hard on the mind when you see that happen to you. But he's got a good opportunity here, because if he can hook onto the back of Anwar, there's a gap between Anwar and Paul Williams, and if he can stay with him, you know, he'll solidify that position. The small tower block was under threat there.
This is Joe Holmes versus Oliver Moss there. But yeah, it's just important to refocus and get yourself back in the rhythm. But it is the nature of this racing that if you get put out wide like that, you will lose multiple positions. As through on Stuart Simmons goes Anwar Birel-Smith there in the number 3. Jack Bolton now your leader then. There he is with a little bit of a gap to Joe Holmes, who's managed to navigate his way up to 2nd. Now ahead of Oliver Moss in the 44. Miguel Hall is in 4th in that 18 car, in the highest place of your Class 2 runners. Remember, they and Class 3 run those blue number plates. As Anwar Birel-Smith goes down the inside of him into Osiers. That was a late move to the inside from Anwar, and I don't think it's paid off. No, it hasn't. Miguel Hall is going to hold on to that one, and it leaves Anwar exposed to attack from Stuart Simmons, trying to get his 5th place back, but he can't manage it there. And there is James Workman, fair play to him, doing exactly what Andrew was talking about a lap or so ago, staying with them, keeping them in, keeping him in contention. There's a bit of water there kicked up from the category curb. We mentioned that earlier, but look at this, Joe Holmes looking on Jack Bolton for the lead of the race. There is a gap there, and Jack Bolton can't move across now because it's too late, and Joe Holmes is through to the lead of the race on lap number 5 at the top of the hill.
Oh, that was almost like a resigned glance there from Jack as he was left, right, where is he? Oh, he's on the side.
Yeah. There's Anwar trying again down the inside of Miguel Hall, and this time makes it stick. Miguel forced to the very edge of the curbing there at Ashby, and it allows Stuart Simmons to have some overspeed on him and get by. And Simmons is going to go immediately. No, he's not. He thinks better of it, but he considered getting his place back off of Anwar Birel-Smith. He is very keen to do so. He's going to be careful as Anwar gestures to him to say, no, let's work together. And he's not wrong to suggest it, because there is a bit of a gap opening out between them and Oliver Moss ahead, but Miguel Hall wants his position back as well, as there's a penalty for Anwar. That is for ABC bump and pass, and that's 4 positions, and that's significant for Anwar in this one, Andrew. You know, when Joe Holmes is up in the lead of this race, this is all about determining the best grid positions for the final, and let's not forget the 20 championship points on offer for a win in each of these heats.
I think that was for the move on Miguel Hall down into Ashby Corner, a little bit too much contact for the officials' liking. His Hall back down the inside of Simmons there. to retake 5th position and fight back here, so that's a net 4th once penalties are applied. But here comes Simmons again. No, slots in behind, but then again Simmons has a penalty as well, doesn't he? So there's opportunities here for some of our C2 drivers to get a top 5 potentially. You know, Paul Williams is currently sat in that position. Something's
happened to James Workman, Andrew. He's dropped down 10 positions, and the driver who we were talking about earlier, our former leader, is now unfortunately well down the order. We're here with Benjamin Robinson, who's battling away, who's presumably a lap down.
He is a lap down.
On all of this that's going on around him. What is going on around him is Paul Williams there in the 65, defending 7th place from Richard Newton. Richard Newton looking down the inside, whereas behind them it is Tim Williams versus Matt Kendall in the 55. Matt Kendall in the red suit. Tim Williams with the blue and sort of Spider-Man design, I suppose you'd say, helmet. And there down the inside looking opportunistic was, I think that was Ben Bennyworth just as we cut away, but this is for the lead of the race. No, it's not, for 2nd place, excuse me. It's Jack Bolton versus Oliver Moss, and Oliver Moss is through, but Jack Bolton doesn't seem too happy with the methods by which he managed it.
Yep. Well, we'll leave it to the stewards on that one. Cone penalty for Jason Bear, who's currently running in 12th position. And in fact, Moss is letting him back through. Okay.
Yeah.
So Oliver Moss, I mean, that's quite wise, I think. If you think that there's a potential that you get a penalty when you're in this kind of spot, let the driver back through. That's heads-up stuff there from number 44.
I quite liked where he let him through as well,
yeah,
because it just slightly compromised Bolton's line into 1 and 2, and it meant that he actually had a good run up the hill. It didn't pay off, but I think there was a bit of strategy to that as well.
And while Birel Smith is now on their rear bumper, but we know he has a penalty. We are on the last lap of the race. Joe Holmes is going to win it and probably have pole position. Oh, big move from Anwar down the inside into Ozier's. I mean, in terms of the timing sheets, it'll swap back around once the penalty's been applied, but it does mean that you know, Anwar's effectively fighting for what, 6th, 7th place. Now is across the line. Joe Holmes takes it again, and now did Birel Smith get Bolton on the line? No, he did.
By 13.
Oh, what's happening there as they go over start finish? I don't think Paul Williams knew that Richard Newton was there. A bit of a chaotic finish.
13 thousandths of a second, Andrew, that Anwar gets 2nd place by.
So Holmes for Birel Smith, this is on the road. Bolton, Moss, Hall, Simmons. Williams, Newton, Williams, Kendall. But we should say Stuart Simmons has a +6, doesn't he? Birel Smith has a +4.
Yes.
So this is going to be quite a different result on the official sheet. And because I'm conscious of time, in fact, let's end it there and move on, have a short break before we move on to the final heat, heat number 12.
The whistle is blown in the pits to indicate to the drivers that it's time for them to pull out onto circuit. Anthony Ridd will start this one from pole. He shall lead them out onto track. Whilton Mill's new favourite lawnmower, Nick Trafford, will start alongside him. Bill Taylor and Alex Pritchard are on row number 2. Steve Lindley and Steve Bosley make up row 3. Paul Goddard has been driving very well today. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Peter Clark alongside, Richard Allen, and Jordan Hawkins as well has been driving really well to round out your top 10. Going to be interesting this. Matt Wildman is 11th with Gary Miller alongside. Row 7 is going to be Andrew Cherry and Nick Polycott. Chris Solomon and Will Appleton will make up row number 8, and Elliot Muse and Matthew Batter will round out the 18-kart grid for this final heat of round 7 of the Heavyweight Championship. After this, we go into our trophy finals. And after that, there's a break ahead of the lightweights. So don't go anywhere. There is plenty of racing action still to come your way. We do hope you're enjoying this Alpha live stream supported by Navos, technology solutions you can trust, with commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media, as we are good for the start here. The 142 of Anthony Ridd there, yellow helmet, blue suit, your pole sitter there. We're looking to get a good start here. There's a lovely blowing of a kiss there from Steve Lindley to the camera up to, it is Chris who's batting the camera up there, so I'm I'm sure Chris is feeling the love as we're ready to go away for heat number 12. Anthony Ridd's going to lead them away. It's a good start from Nick Trafford from second on the grid, though, and he's going to try and do what Lee Henderson did earlier and come to the lead. And he is. Anthony Ridd is out wide, and so too was Bill Taylor. They're both out wide, and they've lost out heavily there. Richard Allen chases Nick Trafford up towards the braking zone here, 3 wide behind them, and the 77 of Alex Pritchard is going to be forced out wide, but he holds it together and stays on the grey stuff, crucially, as they all work their way through the top of the circuit.
Yeah, that was a bit clumsy through turns 1 and 2, but they just about all survived. But a lot of positions have changed. Steve Lindley's not too pleased in the middle of all of this, as he's got Paul Goddard down the inside of him. Alex Pritchard seems to have had a good start as well. The number 27 of Jordan Hawkins is on the scene. He's had a strong couple of races so far here at Whilton Mill today. But Nick Trafford, it's great seeing Nick back in this form. But Richard Allen's now up the inside, and he's going to surely take the lead of the race at the end of lap number 1. Let's count them as they come through. Richard Allen leads from Nick Trafford, Steve Bosley third, Alex Pritchard fourth. It's all the big boys, Howard. We've got all of them towards the front in this one. And Richard Allen has the point there to Trafford to say, let's work together.
We have actually got first and second within our super heavies in this race, because Bill Taylor, running in 9th currently, is the second highest of the super heavies within the championship standings. As they come out of Ashby,
Anthony Riddle really lost out on that first lap. He went down 10 positions from pole position.
Richard Allen, according to timing, came up 9 positions there. And there is Anthony Ridd trying to fight back down the inside of, that was Andrew Cherry, I think, in the 16.
Yep.
And I think he made that stick, but it was a very late move. Uses a lot of runoff off of Wilkins. The cut-through that they use on rolling up laps effectively forms the latter part of the runoff out of that corner.
Yep, that's the bandit Mather trick, and that'll be a cone penalty for Andrew Cherry if it was spotted.
Yeah, connecting with the tyres that are immediately before that cut through. Look at this, Nick Trafford having a look back at Richard Allen at the top of the hill. Brilliant battle between these two experienced super heavyweight drivers. Both of them former champions in that category. And this is a brilliant battle we're seeing between them both. Matt Wildman, we should mention, the only Class 1 runner in this one. Steve Bosley there having a look at Nick Trafford. He's looking racy now, but he's got to be careful because he has got Alex Pritchard for company, and Steve Lindley. He's got 2 co-Class 2 runners right with him. As we've still got plenty of this one to run, of course, as well. 5 minutes, and so far, nobody with a distinct lead gap here. All of the top 6 are all close together. Look at this. This is fantastic stuff. There's yellow flags out at the fastest part of the circuit. Something's gone wrong here, hasn't it? Can we see any stricken carts? We've got a slow-moving 68. Is that a puncture? It is. It's Matthew Batter with, very unusual to see, a puncture on the rear left.
He had a puncture. That's almost like out of something out of the Sardinia Rally this weekend.
Yes, it is. As they come out of Ashby, Nick Trafford with a quick look over the shoulder, because you know that Steve Bosley's quite strong in this part of the lap. You can see there Bosley, but Bosley is actually under attack from Pritchard. Pritchard's going to go down the inside there. Lovely move by Alex Pritchard there to claim 3rd place off of Steve Bosley. Meanwhile, behind them, Steve Lindley in the 47, green and black liveried suit, under severe pressure now from Matt Wildman, who has the fastest lap of the race. And here he is, he's managed to tuck under. It's going to be side by side. That's very late into paddock, and Lindley's not too happy with that. And yeah, well, Matt Wildman there had about as little of his cart alongside as you would ever dare to have before going for a move, and there's contact there as well. And I think Matt Wildman does have to be careful there, but it's allowed Bill Taylor through, it's allowed Jordan Hawkins through, it's allowing Paul Goddard through. This has not gone well here for Matt Wildman at all. He's managed to stave off Paul Goddard there, but that was I'm not sure how to necessarily attribute blame. It was important for Steve Lindley to give space to Matt Wildman into that final corner, but it was getting scruffy there as Alex Pritchard is back under pressure from Steve Bosley. And Steve Bosley, and there's a rub of the tyres there on some bodywork there. They've got to be careful, because otherwise they'll get another puncture, as there is a penalty for Matt Wildman there for ABC bump and pass, and I'm not too surprised to see that one. That did get a little bit robust between himself and Steve Lindley there. Steve Bosley back up to 3rd place on this lap, swapping around the position that changed the lap before. 2 minutes, 10 seconds left on the clock. Richard Allen, your leader there in the 26. Nick Trafford still with him, such that Allen feels the need to go defensive, but he is going to go back to the racing line and open the door for Trafford, and there's contact there. And whilst you're having that little
nice,
debate, Steve Bosley is going to be right on the scene and snipe you for second place there. And onto the grass goes Alex Pritchard. It's all closing up. Look at this. Anyone from the top 12 could take the lead of this one if it all goes to tears. Jordan Hawkins is there in the 27. Steve Lindley is in there with the 47. As is Bill Taylor there in the 58, the blue and white suit, and Paul Goddard's on the back of this as well. This is all heating up nicely. There's 90 seconds left on the clock. Somehow Richard Allen is still in the lead of this race.
That was so nicely done by Steve Bosley. He saw what was going on. He saw that Nick Trafford was yielding the position, and he didn't fully send it as Matt Wildman's up the inside of a 3 wide going into the final corner. And gets the job done. You know, he didn't fully send it because he could have understeered wide and made contact with Nick himself. He just slipped it on the inside. He slithered his way through, and he's going to go for the lead. Surely he's going to go to the outside. No, Richard Allen covers it off very, very well, but this is all to play for. We've had a question come in of what are the fastest lap times at the moment. Well, 54.5, so at the mid-54s really so far today. At the moment, the fastest lap of this race is a 54.894, which was done by Matt Wildman up the inside. Here goes Steve Bosley for the lead, side by side with Richard Allen. Richard Allen chops back across as they go into Oties. This is a fascinating race here, where any one of, I reckon, 10 drivers or maybe more could win it, as we're going to go onto the final lap in a few moments' time. Nick Trafford has a little look down the inside of Steve Bosley. Alex Pritchard, oh, brilliant from Alex Pritchard. Gets up into third. Could he win this? 1 lap to go. Here we go then. Can Richard Allen, last year's Driver of the Year in the Club 100 Awards, hold on for a great victory?
Steve Bosley is so strong in that Wilkins complex. He's going to be on it again this lap. If he doesn't sniff an opportunity earlier than that, he goes to the standard outside line, tucking in for the standard racing line. He's going to try and get the switchback, but Richard Allen positions his car beautifully ahead of Inkerman's, and he's going to go full defensive. How much of the field goes defensive here? This is brilliant, brilliant stuff. Richard Allen still in the lead, but this is where Steve Bosley is strong, and Allen is wise to it. He cuts to the inside for Wilkins, but that's going to slow them up and allow Alex Pritchard to have a go. Look at Nick Trafford versus Steve Lindley versus Matt Wildman into Ozier's corner. Somehow Matt Wildman finds enough space to not hit the tyres there on the curbs. It's still Richard Allen in the lead of this one, coming through the boot. I think it's going to be him, unless Steve Bosley can tuck underneath. No, he can't, as behind them there's all sorts of chaos going on here, but it is going to be Richard Allen who takes the win. Steve Bosley in second, Alex Pritchard in third, Nick Trafford in fourth, then it's Steve Lindley in fifth, Matt Wildman in sixth, Paul Goddard is in seventh, eighth for Jordan Hawkins, ninth for Bill Taylor, Anthony Reid rounds out your top 10. And it's Elliot Muse, the highest of the Class 3 runners in that, Gary Miller, Andrew Cherry, Nick Policott, Peter Clark, Chris Solomon, Matthew Batter, Will Appleton. Oh my goodness.
Top 13 covered by 4 seconds. That's all I really need to say. What a win for Dickie Allen, who's going to bring the kart in, because I think he feels he's probably a little bit down on power.
Well, we're sorting out the grids for finals now, aren't we? So
well, yes, no, absolutely correct. Yeah, so
yeah, he's happy with that.
Dickie Allen very, very pleased with that one. That's a great victory for our reigning super heavyweight champion. And yeah, that brings a close to the heats racing. And you're absolutely right, Howard. We will now, well, not we, Race Control.
Yeah, don't trust us with
it. We'll crack on with the maths and the permutations as to who are in the C, B and A finals, because there's quite possibly some drivers in that last race that were in their finals. We just saw Sam Dimolo flying through shots there. And I just want to give another shout out to Sam and son Elliot, who Club 100 are sponsoring the karting efforts of young Elliot. Started moving into cadets now. We're hoping to see Elliot racing in cadets. Obviously we had some great scenes here in Shannington on an Alpha Live stream with ourselves, Double Dash Motorsport Media, providing the commentary for Super One back a few weeks ago, where Elliot ran very, very well. So hello to the Dimolos. Hope you're doing well. But yes, I think we're going to take a short break now before the C final. Don't go anywhere as we get into those longer final races, starting, as I say, with the C final, with 4 places available into the B final. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back very, very shortly with live commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media on your Alpha Live stream, sponsored by Navos Technology Solutions you can trust.
So yes, Club 100, we are launching the first ever high performance two-stroke arrive and drive series for young drivers. We're naming it the Young Drivers Championship, designed for 14 to 18-year-olds. So 26 years Club 100 has been racing now, and we've had thousands through the door enjoying their racing with us at that level playing field in a high performance kart. Most of the drivers have tended to be sort of 18 plus, even going up to 70 years of age. And I think the awareness has not been there for the last couple of years that we can take drivers at the age of 14, in the year of their 15th birthday, they can race. So we thought it would be ideal to introduce something that attracts the younger driver and have them all racing as a group together, separate from the main Club 100 championships on a separate weekend. So young drivers out there looking at this video may be thinking, how does it work? What's it going to cost me? £1,400 is what it's going to cost you for a full season. 7 rounds of racing in the Young Drivers Championship with absolutely no hidden extras. So you're probably thinking, well, if we damage the kart, do we have to bring our own fuel? Do we have to do anything with regards to tyres? No, everything is provided. Your transponder is provided for the timing. Even race kit is provided if you don't have your own racewear. Drivers just simply need to turn up and drive.
Hello, I'm Josh, I'm 15 and I'm from Norfolk. I've been racing in Club 100 for just over a year now. I really enjoy racing with these new karts. What I really like about Club 100 is the fact that no matter what driver level you are at, you will always have someone that you can race against because there are so many people. I really love racing in the quicker karts with the two-stroke engines because I find it more fun. What I also enjoy is that everyone is on the same equipment and it's also pretty level, so it's all down to driver ability.
I'm Bailey Morgan, I am 14 years old and I am from Hastings. I started karting when I was 5 years old and I've been in Club 100 for about a year now. What I love about Club 100 is the sheer speed of the karts and how the brakes are really good at the same time and how each and every track is different in its own way. Well, it is really good because it's more clean, more fair, and the karts are obviously more fast, so that's more enjoyable.
My name's Martin, I'm Josh's dad. We got involved with Club 100 just over a year ago. We really got involved with the championship. We found it so friendly, we found it a nice level playing field for the kids and adults to race. But more than that, it's a good family get-together. Josh is talking to his chums that he's met racing. We're talking to the parents. It's become a real social event with us.
My name's Chris, I'm Bailey's dad. I go to all the races with Bailey in the current championship of Club 100, but we've got a new concept coming out next season called the Young Drivers Championship. It will put Bailey and other youngsters that are currently in Club 100 into the same bracket. It's a brilliant idea, and to bring more young people into it, and hopefully they then move on to the bigger championship when they feel they're at the appropriate age and readiness, really.
So Motorsport UK, the UK's governing body for all things on 4 wheels, right up to Formula 1, they recognise Club 100 and they think the Club 100 concept is a good thing, and they really do want to get involved in the Club 100 arrive and drive concept. So for the first time for next year in the Young Drivers Championship, which we're introducing, drivers that take part in the full season will be able to achieve their full race licence with Motorsport UK.
I really look forward to racing in the Young Drivers Championship next season, as I think it will be nice to race against people my own age.
The Young Drivers Championship is a brilliant concept. We're really looking forward to coming. Joshua, to be able to race with people his own age on a level playing field is second to none.
I can't wait to race in the Young Drivers Championship.
So if you want to get involved in the Club 100 Young Drivers Championship next season, just head to the website www.club100.co.uk or find us on Facebook, Club 100 Racing.
So that was a bit there about the Club 100 Young Drivers Championship. Sadly, slightly curtailed. It's down to 3 rounds only that have been able to run in 2020. But still great that championship has been able to get underway this year, and it's been really good to see some of the drivers coming through that Young Drivers Championship and also taking part in these events as well. There's nothing that precludes you from taking part in both the Young Drivers Championship and this as well. These championship events in the main Sprints Championship as well. So that's something to bear in mind. But it is great that championship has been able to get underway with Club 100 this year. There is still 1 round left of that to go on Sunday the 29th of November at Butmore Park. So if you are interested, do call the office at Club 100 or head to club100.co.uk for all of the information on how you can get involved with that. And also look ahead to calendar announcements, which should be within the next month or so, which should include details of a hopefully fully fledged as was originally intended, 7 or 8 round championship, we would presume, going into 2021. Keep your eyes peeled for that.
Absolutely. Clouds in the sky. Apparently, we've had a field report from Chris Simpson out there on the cameras that the sun came out from behind the trees for a few moments, and then he's slowly starting to thaw out, but it's very cold out there. Just to mention our sponsors for the stream today as well. Thank you very much to Kieran Shanks, who some of you may remember did very, very well in the Motorsport UK Karting Esports Championship, which was hosted by Alpha Live during the full lockdown. A little bit about Navos. Like, who are Navos? What is it that they do? And one of the big things, obviously, we've both been doing it, mate, in our 9 to 5s, is working from home. And actually, there's been a lot more risk for cyber attacks whilst the lockdown's been going on. So they've actually got a new product, a new proactive and reactive approach to cyber crime to try and tackle that. So if you are a business owner, and in short, what they've said is, like, if it's technology related, give them a call. Go across to www.navos.co.uk and they can help to sort you out to get your technology a bit more secure. And also another thing as well, that they're not just purely a profit driven thing. Their customer satisfaction is not just about bottom line. Been made aware a percentage of their profits actually go to a local charity called Suicide Prevention Bristol. So there's that aspect of what they do as well. So www.navos.co.uk. Get in contact with Kieran and the team there for your technology needs. C finalists are heading out on circuit. Howard, who have we got in this C final? Apologies. I forgot about the stinger.
I'm glad you asked me, mate. Darren Townsley will start this one from pole with Wayne Dunham alongside Ben Bennyworth and Elliot Muse on row number 2. Row 3 is Tim Williams and Simon Kavanagh. James Wortman and James Dunnett will make up row 4. Row 5 will be Andrew Perry and Sonny Cundy. Jaden Cadigan and Luke Phillips make up row number 6. Row 7 is going to be Dimitri Zeldin and Chris Wharton. Then it will be Matthew Batter and Peter Clark on row 8. Row 9 will be Blake Templey and Martin Robinson. Benjamin Robinson, a driver who hasn't had too much in the way of luck today, and Chris Solomon will round out your top 20. There's Nick Polycott, Karen Hijatsi, Lewis McKinnon, James Fremont, Will Appleton and Doug Cook. As I raced through then, not realising that they were going around again. But that is your grid. 26 karts in the C final, Andrew.
Very good.
In the C final. Fantastic to see as JV walks across there to do some marshalling business. Comment in on YouTube from Athletes NL, Netherlands. JV is a legend. Yeah, he is.
Yes.
He is. And I have to say, I want to say this as well. Yesterday when he was doing the briefing with us, he said, now October is often the time when I would pass through details of next year's calendar. And I honestly thought with all of the disruption, there was going to be a but. There was going to be a but, unfortunately, given the circuit. No. He went and said, so expect to see that in the next few weeks. And it just, to me, it underlines the dedication, the professionalism with which the Club 100 team go about organising this championship. They are, you know, with all the headwinds that there are at the moment, they are not letting that deter them from putting together another quality calendar for for next year, indeed.
And a BUKC season, having just finished one that will get started pretty soon as well, we hope. Right, C final time. Remember, the top 4 from this race go through into the B final. That is what this race is going to be all about. There will be a little trophy as well for our C final winner. But to be honest, for these drivers, that spot in the B final is probably worth more. Drivers in 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, they've got work to do. They've got the best shot to try and get themselves in there. Longer final this as well, 12 minutes on the timer. Steady to the lights, away we go then for the C final. Who's going to get the run up to Christmas? It's a good start for Darren Townsley and Wayne Dunham. They've held their front row positions as those towards the back are trying to force their way through, but it's going to be Townsley from Dunham. Tim Williams there in 3rd, looking to the outside, and Elliot Muse there as well, as someone's careering into another driver towards the back end of the field. And that's not what you want to be doing on lap 1 of any race, but especially this one. Down into Ashby they go then. Number 81 has a big catch there. It was Andrew Perry. 17 is Wayne Dunham. Wayne Dunham is out of the race on lap 1. He's had a problem there and come to a halt on the exit of Ashby.
And see if he can get it going again, but even so, there's no way. And look at this, 5-6 wide down into Osiers.
Don't do it.
How did that happen? And they all have worked. Do you know what? Considering the amount of drama on this first lap, I'm dead impressed by how they've all kept it together. This is, you know, supposedly our field made up more so of novice runners. This is fantastic. So, but disappointment for Wayne Dunham, key player in that Class 3 within the championship. That is disappointment for him for this one. One has to imagine this may very well turn out to be one of his dropped scores. Darren Townsley leads, Tim Williams in 2nd, Simon Kavanagh in 3rd, James Wortman and James Dunnett round out your top 5. Benjamin Robinson, I just want to give some good news on his front today. Up 6 positions on that first lap. He is going to be one to watch here. Blake Temple as well, up 5 positions. In fact, Will Appleton up from the back to 15th. There are going to be some really interesting ones here who are working their way up. It is not a done deal for this top 4 by any stretch of the imagination.
And they've got the time to do it as well with this longer final than you have with a heat. It's all just about keeping calm at this stage of the race.
Here are your leaders. Darren Townsley there in the 13.
Now this top 3, in fact the top 4 have got to work together.
Yes.
They have got to get together. No point fighting now.
That's Robinson. Oh, he's got to be careful
naughty.
though. So that's Benjamin Robinson going through on Andrew Perry that was. But that, he's got to be careful, Andrew. Yes, there's the opportunity. He has the pace, one would imagine, to work his way up. But he has to do it cleanly. Otherwise, it's going to all be for naught.
If this top 4 work together, they will pull away from Elliot Muse and have those positions in the B final sewn up. They can then have a good fight in the B final and try and get some more points through it. But they do seem like they're...
Townsley was defending there. And Tim Williams is having a look into Wilkins, and they've got to be careful, Andrew. And Tim Williams is going to leave himself exposed for Simon Kavanagh to go down the inside. And this is not how to do it. And don't hit the tyres. And if you're Elliot Muse in 5th place right now, you are licking your lips, because this is exactly what you wanted to see up ahead of you. I mean, yeah, you've just got to, in this early phase of the race, and there is Elliot Muse now in that two-tone blue helmet there in the 145. He is now right on the tail of Tim Williams over 4th place. With no one behind him either, as there's a penalty for Simon Kavanagh in 3rd place, and that penalty is ABC bump and pass. There you go. It is, and it's now impossible for him to qualify. It's impossible for him to be promoted, because even if he wins the race, he'll be demoted 4 positions from 1st, and that will put him down in 5th.
It will indeed. Benjamin Robinson, your fastest driver out on circuit at the moment, 55.206.
Bizarrely, what that would mean, though, actually, is that this man here, Elliot Muse, now should not battle. He should work with them ahead.
Yes.
But he won't know that unless he really knows his kart numbers well and goes, one of the drivers ahead of me is Simon Kavanagh, and he has a penalty. So likely to see him battling away, because he thinks he's right on the boat. In fact, he's dropped back a little bit there. Something happened in the last part of that lap. James Dunnett, Luke Phillips and Benjamin Robinson with the fastest lap in the race. Exactly what I would expect given his poor run of luck in his heats.
Simon Cavanagh's picked up another contact warning.
So
He's not good at this stage of the race. Moves also going on. Blake Templey's just got past Andrew Perry for 11th place. Nick Polycott has also got past Matthew Batter.
James Workman,
14th.
sorry Andrew, James Workman just having a look at Darren Townsley for the lead. I just don't think this is conducive to them all getting promoted at this stage in the race. And you can see again how that's allowed Elliott Muse back onto the back of the top 4. He had dropped back at the end of last lap. Now he's caught up again. We're only just now coming into the point where we're equivalent to...
Big send.
That's a big send from Elliott Muse, and that's not going to work. As I say, he thinks that this is his last chance saloon to get that promotion spot, and it's really not, because the 61 of Kavanagh there has a penalty that will take him out of this top 4. But Muse doesn't know that, and it's allowing the likes of the pack you just saw there, James Dunnett, Luke Phillips, Benjamin Robinson, they are working together and are going to reel these guys up. Well, I say they're working together. You could just see in the back of your shot Luke Phillips going to the inside of James Dunnett at Christmas, so maybe they're not. But it is not in everyone's interests to have this battle at this time. It's all closing up at the front as Muse goes wide there out of Ashby
deep
in the back of shot as well. So I wonder if Elliott Muse, he's pushing so... Oh, and he's hit the tyres as well. He's hit the tyres as well, pushing so hard, Andrew, because he was thinking, I've got to push.
Yeah.
And it's just not come good for him, and he's dropped 3 positions, and he'll probably... It's not our call to make, but I'd have thought he's just made himself ripe for a cone penalty in collecting that tyre wall.
Yep.
Fastest lap of the race from Tim Williams, trying to get onto the back of Simon Kavanagh. But honestly, I would, if I was Tim Williams, I don't know, do you want a rear gunner? And you, in a way, but...
Change the lead.
Oh, yeah, there is a change for lead. James Workman on Darren Townsley, but Townsley is going to come back at him through the left-hand kink we like to call Boxing Day, and then through Inkermans. Of this top 4 on your screen, one of them isn't actually going to be promoted. Simon Kavanagh has a bump and pass penalty. That will put him out. So actually, it is James Dunnett, this man here in the 64. He probably has no idea that he's in a promotion spot, but he is. And this is actually the battle over the last promotion spot as Benjamin Robinson prizes open the door on Luke Phillips. But he loses so much momentum in doing so, it goes 3 wide on the back straight because Elliott Muse has a look, and it's still not on for Robinson there. And Muse is going to try a similar send that didn't work last time and didn't really work this time either. Just held him up. And if he's not careful, he's going to fall into the clutches of Jaden Cadogan and Sonny Cundy as well there in the 23 and 76 respectively.
Penalty for Andrew Perry for an unsafe release. That's obviously not from a pit stop. That's recovering back onto circuit as Robinson down the inside of Phillips. And, well, Phillips was giving the finger of let's work together. Nope, that's not going to work in this context.
I think Robinson feels that he does have the pace to catch up to these guys on merit because he's had such bad luck across the heats that he feels he's out of position based on where his pace should put him. So he feels confident enough to get by and pull out the gap, as there's another penalty for Simon Kavanagh, which this time is for, that says ABC bump and pass again.
Yep,
that's not a one. I'm not sure actually. I'm not sure if that's a repeat showing or not. But either way, oh yes, it is a second showing. That would be 8 positions for Kavanagh. So now he's definitely he can't even. I don't know what analogy I was going to give, but he definitely can't get promoted now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that man who just went through your screen, James Dunnett, in the sort of deep red helmet and blue suit. He is your current of the last promoted. There he is in the number 63.
James Workman, sorry, is a driver who's dropped 2 positions. I reckon that is why Simon Kavanagh has been a bit of contact there. They were next to each other on circuit. But Ben Robinson really hassling the back of James Dunnett now. But look at this, through comes the 140 of Luke Phillips. So Luke Phillips gets back into that position, but got a bit of a bump from behind there. I couldn't tell what, no, that must have been from Robinson, because there was nobody else behind him.
And again, Benjamin Robinson will be thinking, I've got to get past this guy now so that I can pull up to the back of the 4 drivers I can visually see ahead of me and don't know one of them has a penalty. So he thinks he's got to get the job done now to give himself an opportunity to drive up onto the back of them. And indeed, he's going for the opportunity down the inside of Christmas corner. Nicely done move from Benjamin Robinson. we've sadly had to focus on a lot of
But
misfortune
that's
for him.
exactly what I thought was about to come in. That was for into the boots. Yeah, he bump and passed to the back of Luke Phillips there, and he's just thrown all of his hard work away.
So it goes back to James Dunnett there in the 64. And he will have now, and these two don't know it, as I say, but Benjamin Robinson and Luke Phillips now battling over what is, in reality, the last of the promotion spots. Here are your front runners. Darren Townsley still leads. Simon Kavanagh in second, but has multiple penalties to be applied. Tim Williams, fastest lap of the race so far, in the 1:57 in third. James Workman in fourth. And then it's going to be Benjamin Robinson in fifth, but he too has a penalty to be applied, which means your net fourth place is currently the person who inhabits sixth on the road in the form of James Dunnett. But look at this, actually he's got attention, hasn't he, from Luke Phillips here in the 140.
I'm just going to point out Jaden Cadigan as well, who had a really bad start to the day, but is coming on strong here. He's a factor in this. You just see him there in the 23 with the yellow helmet. He's pulling Sonny Cundy with him as well, and Sonny Cundy going up the inside.
Oh no,
and
that's not it.
And off goes Jaden Cadigan.
Queued that up there, mate. That was a good commentator's curse right there.
The harpoon of the commentary curse has come out there and taken Jaden Cadigan out of this race.
Well, actually, it's going to be interesting if the clerk of the course judges whether or not it was Sonny Cundy who took Jaden Cadigan out of this race. I'm not sure it was as clear-cut as that. But it is surely one that they'll be taking a little look at in race control there, because it just all came to tears there. But it doesn't mean... And changes here for second place. Tim Williams is through on Simon Kavanagh there. So Tim Williams in that 1:57 has got himself up into second place on the tail of Darren Townsley. Townsley, a Class 2 runner. And Kavanagh, one of our Class 3 novice runners in the 1:57. All scored together, of course, in the heavyweights, but those who finished the top three in each of those classes, there is an individual separate championship held within the classes. We're on to the last lap. Darren Townsley has led this one pretty much from the very start, and he's going to lead them up the hill as James Workman stays to the standard line. I thought he was maybe having a look at Kavanagh, but Kavanagh is, if anything, looking to get past Tim Williams. Kavanagh will almost certainly know he can't be promoted. He surely can't think that his penalty is for a cone or something like that. So he will know that he's there, but he's just trying to make up as many positions. And this is the significant change. That is Luke Phillips past James Dunnett, and that means that Luke Phillips has just got himself up into the final promotion spot. Oh, this is going to be, as I say, they're probably unaware of this, but I think Luke Phillips has just got past with one of the most significant overtakes of the day for him, because I think he will have, in doing so, clinched the last of the promotion spots. Darren Townsley is going to cross the line to take the win, with Tim Williams in second. Simon Kavanagh is in third, but we believe has 8 positions or so of penalties to be applied. James Workman in fourth. Benjamin Robinson finishes fifth, but he too has a bump and pass 4th-place penalty to be applied. So we believe, provisionally at least, that Luke Phillips, finishing in 6th on the road, has claimed the last of those promotion spots, and he's stolen it from James Dunnett, who until the last lap had that one sealed up in 6th place, but he's got down to 7th. 8th for Sonny Cundy, Elliot Muse in 9th, 10th for Peter Clark, Nick Policott in 11th, then it was Matthew Batter, Chris Solomon in 13th, Lewis McKinnon in 14th, then it was Dimitri Zeldin, Blake Temperley, Chris Wharton, Martin Robinson, Jaden Cadigan recovering after that incident with Sonny Cundy in Wilkins, Andrew Perry, Will Appleton, Karim Hijazi, and then we expect to see James Fremont coming through. There he is. And that is it, because of course we saw the issues for Wayne Dunham, sadly putting him out of the race. Costly result that for Wayne in his pursuit of Class 3 honours in the championship. That was the C final then in heavyweights. Next up, out onto track, complete with the top 4 classified runners from that C final, will be our heavyweight and super heavyweight B final. So into the B final we will go. Only the top 2 finishers of this one get the promotion into the A final. Stephen Downs will head Paul Williams on the front row of the grid for this one. Bradley Shears and James Taylor on row 2. Mark Ridout and Lewis Ridd on row number 3. Lenny Wood and Jordan Salter are on row 4. Row 5 is going to be Matt Kendall and Anthony Ridd, with Stuart Simmons and Lee Henderson on row 6. Steve Lindley and Mark Appleton are on row 7. Row 8 is Richard Burrows and Chris Kirk. Row 9 will be Jeremy Deeks and Bill Taylor. Gary Miller and Jason Bear will be row number 10 in 19th and 20th. Andrew Cherry and Vinod Harani will be row 11. And just whilst the grid graphics are catching back up with me, I'm going to confirm the result from C final. We haven't had it confirmed yet. I think they might be weighing them, but we provisionally think it will be Darren Townsley, Tim Williams, James Workman, and Luke Phillips is who I think will be on the grid. We will confirm that when they come out, but are they weighing them? I think they might be. They're certainly weighing the top 4.
They've got a number of drivers that they'll probably need to weigh after that one. Hello to Luke Austin of Alpha Live, who's asked for a shout-out. There it is. Very busy man today. There's 3 different streams going on with Alpha Live today. Obviously our Club 100 one here, which you definitely should stay with and don't switch off to another one. But if you do want to watch more later this evening, you've got British Kart Championships. You do. They're at Fullbeck today, I think I'm right in saying. Yes. And you've got the Daniel Ricciardo series as well up the road at Shennington. Yes. So all being run by Alpha Live. Do make sure that you're subscribed on the YouTube channel for all the content. Click the notification bell and the like button, and of course keep sharing the stream that we've got here for Club 100 today. Yes. Let people know that we've got some really great racing here at Whilton Mill. We do today. I think it really has. We've been treated to some great racing here. I should say, it's for various reasons we maybe won't go fully into. It's been a challenging week to get all of the Alpha Live effort together for this weekend. So I just want to say a huge shout out to Luke actually for the effort that he's doing remotely. Rather scarily, he can still transmit himself into our headsets, which is slightly freaky. He's like when the Wizard of Oz. He is. He's here but not here. It's rather scary, but we do appreciate the work that he does. And I'm now slightly scared that he's doing it now. Right he's talking to us now, viewers. Oh, that's scary. But no, it's great that it's great. Who else is scary? The FBI are here on YouTube from a username called FBI. Just arrived at the track, first time here. Immaculate looking track, looks very well taken care of. It is indeed. It is. Yeah, so the FBI are going to be out inspecting the circuit. I've also had a quick text from David Whitehouse, who's on one of our cameras today, that simply says strong B final. This is a strong B final. Just as I was reading, there's only 2 spots, remember, to go through to that A final. Absolutely. As I was reading that grid, my first thought was, well, if this is the B final, who's in the A? Because so many of these drivers we've been singing the praises of, saying what a strong day that such and such has had. I don't know if this is penalties have come into play, or there's just so many drivers having a strong performance here. But yeah, this is really interesting. Should say the result has been confirmed for the C final, and I don't want to brag, but we were spot on. It is Darren Townsley and Tim Williams, James Workman and Luke Phillips, who are your promotees, or I believe as the regulations put it, the repêchages. I still love that word, into this B final. So they take the grid out from 22 runners to 26. Much bigger grids. We should mention that actually for the start of these races. They're much bigger grids than they had in the heats. That is something to bear in mind. But there we go. So Paul Williams is, you just saw him there in the 65. He starts second. Here is your pole sitter, Stephen Downs. And yeah, there are a lot of drivers here, Andrew, who need to get up into this A final to make something of this round. And they can't all get it. 2 drivers go through, eyes on the lights, and away we go for our B final. How are they starting? It looks like a good start from both sides of the grid. Side by side goes Bradley Shears with Paul Williams through the first corner, and James Taylor is trying to tuck underneath them as well, as there's someone out on the grass. It looks to me like it is Matt Kendall in the 55, but sterling start from Stephen Downs. Dream start for him as they all work their way through Christmas corner
for the first time and through the top part of the circuit. Look at the gap that he's got already. That's amazing stuff as Stuart Simmons there making a move on Jordan Salter. And I think he's managed to make that stick. Steve Lindley is out on the grass and round goes Lindley. And that's devastating for him. He's been racing so hard today as there's a penalty for Anthony Ridd. That's going to be for ABC Bump and Pass. So he's certainly not going to get the promotion in this one because that's 4 positions penalty. And it's only the top 2 that goes through. Here is Lewis Ridd challenging the back of James Taylor for second place as they come round to finish this first lap. Stephen Downs, to be honest with you, if he can get the pace going here, he is going to be very difficult to reel in here. He may have already checked out, and if that is the case, then you are looking for the battle already. You're looking at the battle already as there's a penalty for Stuart Simmons for ABC Bump and Pass. He can't be promoted either, and he's running in 7th place. That's costly for him as Mark Ridout goes side by side with Lewis Ridd, and that's going to open up the opportunity as well for Bradley Shears to come into this battle. And if they start battling this much early on, they're going to allow James Taylor to check out for second place as well. This is a very frenetic start to this B final, as we predicted, with so many drivers thinking that they have a right to lay claim to the final promotion spot. Here's Paul Williams looking down the inside of Jordan Salter, and he's still side by side with him as they go down the back straight. And Lenny Wood's in with them as well. There's Stephen Downs. He's got a comfortable lead now. It's going to be about 3 seconds, I reckon, when he comes around to cross the line this time. A new fastest lap on the race from him, and the gap is to James Taylor. It is 3.7 seconds that Stephen Downs has, and that's one of your promotions, pending any disasters from him, given the pace that he's got. That's your first promotion spot gone right there. Penalty for Stuart Simmons, again an ABC bump and pass. That's 8 positions he's got now as Mark Ridout hounds the back of James Taylor over that all-important second place. They both go to the inside. Look out for Lewis Ridd trying to get a switch back off the corner, as he's going to have good overspeed here, but I don't think there's going to be the room for him to do anything with it on Mark Ridout as they go through Wilkins.
This is going to be a huge test of James Taylor's race readiness. He hasn't been in this situation for quite a while. We've seen over the years here at Club 100 James Taylor pull off some fascinating overtakes. I remember him at Ella a couple of years ago doing round the outside moves in wet conditions, but this is a very different story. Can he defend from a very strong set of drivers behind him, including drivers he's of course raced against before in the Clubman Sprint series, back when that was a thing. Mark Ridout was in that one. Paul Williams has been obviously in the stakes for many, many years, as once again he goes defensive, but 9 minutes is a long way to defend out from.
My sounds behind in the background there was this man here, Anthony Ridd, in the yellow helmet, battling with everybody. There was a bit of contact between him and Bradley Shears on the exit of paddock.
Whoa.
And someone's round there. That I'm just trying to make out who that is. It's difficult as Mark Ridout continues to defend against Lewis Ridd in the 39. Lewis Ridd, remember, a prominent player as Simmons goes down the inside. Now that's costly for Ridd because now he has a kart that's physically between him and Ridout, but isn't actually in this fight really because he has 8 positions worth of penalties to be applied, has Simmons. So he's interested in getting as many positions just to negate the penalty as much as possible, is why he's in this one in the blue and pink helmet. Now that's the most that he can salvage from this one, is some good points. But Lewis Ridd to finish the point. A key player in the Class 2 here, Andrew, facing very much the prospect that he simply might not qualify for the A final. I'm just trying to see who's... I think it was Andrew Cherry. Yes, Andrew Cherry would make sense. He does have a black helmet and suit combination. So Andrew Cherry was your spinner at Christmas Corner on that last lap. Look at this. The second place. Sorry, Andrew.
Taylor defensive again, but this is similar to what we saw with Richard Allen a few races ago in what was it, the last heat of the morning. It is possible to defend round here, but the thing is you get this behind. You get an absolute gaggle of everybody, and you know the likes of Paul Williams towards the back will be like, come on, James, keep defending, because this is giving those guys a chance of picking off the poor drivers in the middle. And look, that's exactly what Paul's done. Brilliant. He's got past 3 drivers there and is now getting closer and closer and closer to that second place.
3 wide in the background, Jordan Salter and Lewis Ridd, and I think it's Lenny Wood who was with them as well. I don't know how did they all get through turn 2? I haven't seen them in the back of shot yet, and I won't believe it till I see it, but yes, they did all get through. It was actually Bradley Shears who was going 3 wide with them. So Shears, Salter and Ridd having a great battle there. But if they're not careful, I mean, firstly, Anthony Ridd in the yellow helmet there has got onto the back of them, but they're allowing the 4 ahead of them to break away slightly. It's Paul Williams round the outside of Simmons. Is he going to make that one stick? Beautiful move. Paul Williams' experience is really showing through here, but Stuart Simmons comes back up in a runs him out of room there, and that's going to be the cones for Paul Williams, and that's gutting for him because he was racing really, really well.
To put it into context of how much James Taylor is defending or having to defend here, Stephen Downs is 2 seconds, yes, 2 seconds a lap quicker than these guys, because James is doing so much defending to try and hold on to this second place over the line again. Yeah, 55 flat from Stephen, a 57.1, and 57's all behind for this group here.
12 seconds the lead gap. But James, to be clear, James Taylor is doing exactly what he needs to do.
Oh yeah,
he's doing his best Gandalf impression. You shall not pass from here for the next 6 minutes. That's all he can do as Mark Ridout tries to find the gap. Look at this. They're almost Noah's Ark here through Ashby, 2 by 2, as they're all coming up. I mean, this harks back to truly trained. Lenny Wood down the inside of Bradley Shears. Bradley Shears is going to be run out. He would take out the tyres if they were still there, but they're not. So I think he'll avoid a cone penalty there. He might get a track limits warning, though, as James Taylor has a quick look over his shoulder. And, I mean, he's a quick driver, but it must feel a little bit like he's towing a horse box at the moment because there's so many people behind them. Penalty for Bradley Shears, an ABC bump and pass. 4-position penalty to be applied to him. Look at how Mark Ridout is hounding the back of James Taylor here. The number 15 all over the back of the 111. Can he tuck under? No. This, Andrew, is so far one of the most impressive defensive displays I've seen in Club 100 this season, as there's a penalty for Lenny Wood now for the same bump and pass. And look at Stuart Simmons shooting the gap. Mark Ridout's going to be run out wide. That's going to allow Lewis Ridd back up into 3rd place.
Run, James, run. This is the opportunity to break away if you can, because it's all started to break down out behind. Mark Ridout still involved there. Lenny Wood, I think there's more drivers out there who haven't got penalties. Have got penalties than haven't, because there's Paul Williams. He's now got a bump and pass penalty. Maybe this is the tactic.
Yeah.
Let's bunch everybody up. They all get penalties, and it doesn't matter where I finish. This is the best tactics I've ever seen from James Taylor.
This is it. Lewis Ridd. Has he got a penalty yet? I don't think
he has.
A penalty for Lewis. Lewis Ridd. I'm just
whilst Howard searches for that, Stephen Downs has just set the fastest lap of the race at 54.745, so he's definitely cracking on with it. He's 15 seconds. Tom Buttersworth is absolutely right. He's going to lap the field at this race with 4 minutes to go.
Right, Lewis Ridd doesn't have a penalty. Neither James Taylor in 2nd nor Lewis Ridd have a penalty. Stuart Simmons in 4th does have penalties, and he's defending harder. There's James Taylor defending there. Lewis Ridd to the outside. Lewis Ridd's got to be careful because Stuart Simmons will take the opportunity. The 42 of Jordan Salter is right there as well. And look at how hard James Taylor...
Inch perfect.
It's great. It is great defensive driving. But there's Stuart Simmons. Joke a lap, why not? This surely is where Lewis Ridd goes down the inside. But is James Taylor going to be able to fight back? Mark Ridout's going to try and tuck underneath, but there's not going to be the gap. Oh my goodness me, this is absolutely crazy stuff.
Oh, big
that was
curb
a hit. Yeah, hit to the curb for James Taylor there. As they look at how the field is closing up as a result of this battle. They're just more and more karts keep adding to it. Between Lewis Ridd, I'm just checking the gap, the entire second half of the field, okay, 2nd down to 24th is separated by 10 seconds. It's absolutely crazy here. Lewis Ridd, though, has been able to get past the stopper in the bottle. No offence intended.
He's not pulling away, though.
He's not pulling away massively here. James Taylor. Now, Mark Ridout, look at how Mark Ridout, I think you're going to see a behavioural change. James Taylor needs to stop defending, because I think Mark Ridout knows the deal. I think they know that they have to work together here. Whether anyone else will let them is another question, but you're right. Lewis Ridd need not necessarily be left to pull away here in 2nd place. Paul Williams tucking underneath Mark Ridout. Look at this, though. He's got a penalty, remember. 4 positions to be applied to wherever Paul Williams finishes. So he just needs to go as far as he can up the field to negate that penalty.
Penalty for Mark Appleton, a takeout penalty. Where is Mark currently in the order? He's in 13th, so he'll drop down to 17th if things finish as they are, and that's the most ridiculous thing that I've said today. Of course it's not going to finish as they are. We've still got 2 minutes 15 seconds to go. Paul Williams looks to the outside of James Taylor's. Down the inside there goes the number 17 of Wayne Dunham. So right now, so has Wayne I wonder Has Wayne Dunham been handed a place in this final? Because as wide goes James Taylor, who's been forced
yeah.
wide by Paul Williams, and now it really is starting to break down.
Oh. But no, sorry to cut across here, Andrew, but that's significant. You saw Tim Williams going around the outside of Wayne Dunham as a result of that incident. I think that might be Tim Williams up into the lead within Class 3.
Yes, I think you might be right.
Unless, where's Chris Kirk?
Chris Kirk's ahead of them as well.
Is he still? Yes,
11th,
he is.
yep.
He is. So there's a proper Class 3 podium battle going on with the battle over 11th place, which is good, because you know what, Andrew? There just hasn't been enough battling in this race.
Mark Ridout has a little look down the inside of Lenny Wood as in comes Anthony Ridd.
Yeah, on Stuart Simmons, but can't make it stick. Someone's out on the grass. I think that was Bradley Shears on the grass, as now Stuart Simmons is on the grass. Can he hold it together? Coming back on. Yes, he can. Don't think Tim Williams collected him. Tim Williams on the 56 of now Chris Kirk is the 56 there. He's the one to watch. So, well, that's the one to watch in terms of Class 3 honours there. As we cut back to Paul Williams, who, yes, he's in third. That's where we're looking at now. Paul Williams versus Lenny Wood. And Mark Ridout, is able to tuck underneath but can't convert it into the pass. And if it looked weird for them to cross the line and it not to go on the last lap, that's because Stephen Downs is 20 seconds up the road and is well out of kilter with all of these drivers. We've barely seen him, but he did exactly what he needed to do as Anthony Ridd attacks Jordan Salter. That is over 8th place. A little bit of a gap has formed now between the Paul Williams battle and the Jordan Salter battle there, as Lenny Wood is defending against Mark Ridout into Wilkins' corner. James Taylor looking to salvage something, as meanwhile Stephen Downs has gone on to the last lap. So this is going to be a real... the production crew are going, we've got to pick up the leader. We haven't looked at him at all for the last 10 minutes. It's been a very crazy one, this. Lewis Ridd there in the 39 just starts his last lap now. He is comfortable for this second place, pending any disasters on this last lap. Paul Williams in third, but has a penalty to be applied. Lenny Wood in fourth, but has a penalty to be applied. So James Taylor is going to, in the 1-1-1 there, is looking good to inherit a net third place, but sadly that won't be enough, as here is Bill Taylor challenging Wayne Dunham. It is still Chris Kirk who heads up the Class 3 runners in this. That's the only podium that will be determined in this one. Here's Stephen Downs. Let me introduce you to him. He's been leading the race for the last 12 minutes, and now he takes the win. What a dominant victory from Stephen Downs. Gets himself the promotion up into the A final, and now we wait. And we wait. Here is Lewis Ridd, who has battled for this so hard. This is such a big result for him. This could be key in his pursuit of the Class 2 title this year. Lewis Ridd gets the promotion into the A final in second. Paul Williams in third, then it's Lenny Wood in fourth, fifth for James Taylor, sixth for Mark Ridout, Jordan Salter is seventh, Anthony Ridd in eighth, then it's Bradley Shears and Chris Kirk rounds out your top 10. And provisionally we say there are a lot of penalties to be applied.
That's provisional with a capital P.
Provisional with a capital P and possibly a capital every other letter. But he, we think, is the highest place of the Class 3 runners for today. Tim Williams in 11th, and it was Wayne Dunham, James Workman, Bill Taylor, Darren Townsley, Jeremy Deeks, Mark Appleton, Luke Phillips, Jason Bear, Matt Kendall, Steve Lindley in 21st, Richard Burrows, Gary Miller in 23rd, 24th for Vinod Hirani, Andrew Cherry in 25th, Lee Henderson in 26th, and Stuart Simmons 27th. What happened to Simmons towards the end there for him to drop down? But he has a lot of penalties to be applied either way.
27 just confirmed something for me. I think Wayne Dunham was awarded a spot in this B final as a result of having a mechanical whilst being in the top 4.
Oh, okay.
That's why we had 27 in that race.
Okay.
So well done to Wayne Dunham for turning that opportunity into some good points.
Yep.
But we're going to take another short break here at Whilton Mill and get ready for our heavyweight A final. You're watching live coverage of the Club 100 Heavyweight Sprints Championship with your stream provided to you by Alpha Live, sponsored by Navos Technology Solutions you can trust. We're back here at Whilton Mill. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell from Double Dash Motorsport Media, your commentary team. Let's have a look at the grid then for our heavyweight and super heavyweight Sprint A final. Joe Holmes has pole position, looking to get another finals victory. Miguel Hall has had a terrific day and has been rewarded with a front row start. Anwar Birel Smith, the main challenger to Holmes in the title this season, starts from the second row of the grid alongside Adam Wright. Matt Wildman and Stuart Jones go from row 3. Jack Bolton starts from row 4 alongside Jeff Lamb. Steve Bosley's been fantastic so far today. Kurt Holmes has been fast, has had a heat win. Starts in the top 10 there on row 5. Jonathan Elliott and Paul Goddard, who's been one of my drivers of the day so far, on row 6. Alexander Lammin and David Longman, powered by the Curried Goat, is on row 7. Chris Gristwood and Sean Briley. Sean Briley definitely with work to do there from row 8. Richard Newton and Richard Allen. Best Gandalf impression I think we've seen today, including that B final, starts on row 9. Oliver Mott and Nick Trafford go from row 10. Alex Pritchard and Dave Pethers are on row 11. Craig Brown and Jordan Hawkins are on row 12. And we'll also have two drivers I should say, from the B final. Let's try and confirm who those drivers are for all of you wonderful folks at home. We've not had formal results come in, but I can hear carts going out, so I presume it's
we'll
just
know soon.
Updating as we go along. There is practice ahead of this race, everybody, so don't worry if we're not getting excited about carts going around a circuit. This is just to give drivers the opportunity, this A final being vastly weighted as the most important race for these drivers today, to get the opportunity to test and see are they happy with the carts.
I just want to underline, as we wait to get it confirmed, but if Lewis Ridd has got that promotion, I just want to outline for people why it is so significant. So Lewis Ridd currently sits 8th overall in the heavyweight championship standings, but more crucially, he sits the highest of the Class 2 runners. He is, come on Howard, quick maths. He is 15 points ahead of Alex Pritchard, who is 2nd of the Class 2 runners, and is in this final. Jordan Salter.
Yeah, sorry. I've just had a little confirmation from David out there on cameras that, Lewis Ridd and Stephen Downs are out there on the circuit.
Cheers, David. 3rd in the standings in Class 2 is Jordan Salter. Well, he didn't make it through on that last race, so that's one of those Class 2 runners out. Miguel Hall, 4th in Class 2 standings, starts 2nd on this grid. And that's why it's so important for Lewis Ridd to have made it through up into this A final, because he is, otherwise he would have been so at risk. I mean, he's still got a mammoth job to do to work up as much as he can in this A final.
Yeah.
But with Miguel Hall so high up the order, and Alex Pritchard not looking too bad either. Where does Alex start this one from? You did mention it. I'm looking for it now. And I'm looking at the B final grid, which is why I can't see him.
Adam Wright's going for a karts change. Matt Wildman going for a karts change as well. There's always a bit of a risk with this.
Yep.
There will be reasons they'll have identified on a little bit down on low end or top end or whatever it may be. But all of these drivers, Stephen Downs is coming in, Dave Pethers is coming in, Lewis Ridd is coming in.
Yeah.
You'll get another kart. There's no guarantee that one is going to feel any better for the individual driving it.
Yeah, and you've got a very short space of time in which to make that call. Just to finish off my point, Alex Pritchard starts this one from 21st, so it's possible. But that is the kind of thing. Andrew, every time we do one of these streams, we obviously want to outline how exciting it is and how interesting it is. This is looking so tasty as an A final.
I'll tell you what else is good about it, as David's pointed out. You've got 4 super heavyweights in this final and 9 C2s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I think that is a bit of a Wilton thing. We've had this with Wilton over the years. It's probably this circuit and Buckmore Park are the tracks that the wider collective of drivers are most comfortable with. We often come here 2 times a year.
Yeah.
Yes, we may run one round on the international and one round on the Zulu layout. But the boot's no different between those. Christmas is no different between those two. So you do see, well, I see the field spread is a lot closer. It's a lot more competitive at this circuit than, say, I don't know, a Lyd or a Bayford Meadows or one of the Welsh circuits. I think that's what we're seeing here today. We've seen C2 drivers getting on top of their game and really, really mixing it up there with the C1s. And
I think as well, Andrew, it's partially as well because of how, after perhaps Butmore and Rye, I mean, this is a classic circuit for Club 100. If you run any of the series, if you've graduated to Club 100 from BUKC, you've been to Whilton Mill loads of times.
Yeah.
The 3 rounds we've had for the Young Drivers' Championship this year, the first one, the inaugural round, Whilton Mill. All of Club 100's championships come here. It's a great circuit. It's got a central location within the country, which is good for everybody. But it means that it's so competitive here each time we come because of the experience that people have around here. And it is a good circuit for those. If you didn't believe us before, the last race surely showed it, just how good this circuit can be for battles that allow drivers, maybe a driver who's not on the pace but can defend like crazy. It is possible here. So I think that's why we see drivers featuring in the way that they do. I think, has Anwar Birel Smith gone for a kart change?
Anwar's gone for one as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of them. Yeah, there he is. Waiting for him to pull back in. Is he pointing at something? Is he happy with that?
I think
he's... but yes, do keep your comments coming in, everybody. We're keeping an eye on them on the YouTube stream. Good afternoon to Matt Hale. Looking forward to this A final. It's going to be carnage. I hope not, respectively, Matt. But I get what you mean. And he's cheering on Joe Holmes as ever. The G3 Pro crew out in force.
I mean, yeah, this is such a tight grid, and from a championship perspective as well, to have the top 3 as we think.
Sorry, I've got to read this out from Hicksy. Just arrived at the track and watching from the boots. Downs has just pitted in after the race, and I've had enough time to type all of this, and there's still nobody else entered in the pit lane. Big win.
Yeah, it was fairly big. As we're going around again, but from a championship perspective, Andrew, this is really fascinating as well. The 3 people who we think have the best chance. There's other people who can mathematically do it as well, but the 3 people who we think have got the best chance of winning this championship, Joe Holmes, Anwar Birel Smith, who is back in the pits here, and Adam Wright, are all on the first 2 rows of the grid. And you've got a feisty racer in the form of Miguel Hall, who's looking to capitalise on his position to get some good points in Class 2 in amongst them. That's the first 2 rows alone. And then you go to row 3, Matt Wildman, who's in it to win it. He's got nothing to lose. He's been driving really, really well today. And Stuart Jones as well has had a really good run today. I mean, just this grid is looking so interesting ahead of this one. And that, I think, is why, if it seems like we're going around for a while, yes, the drivers are all checking their karts, making sure they're happy. Anwar will now be concerned that the kart he's got is a bit cold. That's why he's trying to warm up the engine there by covering the air inlet there, putting his hand over there, over the radiator area of the kart, sorry. And that's so is Joe Holmes. Everyone's trying to heat up their engines. Look at them. They all look like they're all just chilling. Someone take that and Photoshop them onto deck chairs or something. That was a nice look there. As they're all coming around trying to get as much heat into the engines. And they've been weaving as well to get as much heat into the tyres. Are we good for a start this time around?
Yep.
Yes, we are. Here we go then. Hang tight, everybody. Joe Holmes is going to lead them away. Looks like a strong start from his side of the grid. And indeed, Anwar Birel Smith will immediately go into second place as Miguel Hall slots into third. Adam Wright, if he wants to stay in contention. And Jack Bolton and Stuart Jones are going wide in the background as well. Adam Wright is going to want to pounce on Miguel Hall early if he can. As all as Matt Wildman's up into fifth. And Steve Bosley there with a good start as well in the number 40, up into sixth, highest place of Class 2 runners.
Yeah, bit of bumping and barging, but all of them have got through again, to be fair. Most of the starts have been fairly clean in terms of nobody getting spun out today so far, so good work from the heavyweights, lightweights. You've got to do the same. 12 minutes, remember, in this one. Everyone trying to sort themselves out. The number 12 there, Jonathan Elliott, is trying to make a move on Paul Goddard, who runs wide but doesn't lose too much time there as he runs across the grass. But as Joe Holmes checked out already, he's trying to do it, as Anwar Birel Smith there is in second place. Contact warning for the number 52, which is Kurt Holmes. But this trio, we've been saying it for a few times today, how they've got to work together now. With a driver like Joe Holmes out front, they cannot afford to start squabbling here. They've got to work as a trio to try and pull Joe back in.
Absolutely. Steve Downs, you know what? He was jealous of everyone getting a bump and pass penalty in that B final. Now that he's securing the A final, he's gone and got one.
Yeah. Sean Briley's had a problem. He's down to the back of the field, so maybe that's where that was. If he's been taken out of the race.
Big for the driver who currently sits third in the championship. When we talk about sitting third in the championship, why are we talking about the three at the front? It's because Joe Holmes hasn't been to every round.
Correct.
His scoreline actually features quite far down the table. We know once drop scores have been taken into account, his will be strong. But Sean Briley is a key player in this championship, make no mistake about it. And that's expensive for him. That's a drama there for him, for the driver currently sitting in third place in the championship. As I think these second through fourth here, Andrew, do know the score, don't they?
Yeah.
They know that they've got to work together to get on, or do they? No, Anwar's going defensive here. Is this not lending a bit of a win here to Joe Holmes? Well, not a bit of a win, the win in the heavyweights here for round 7 of the championship. Do they really feel already that they don't have the measure of him pace-wise to battle? That seems incredibly early for them to make such a judgment, Andrew.
Track limit warning for Anwar. He did run a little bit wide as they came through the final corner, so that was well picked up on by, I suspect it's Muttley down there. Muttley loves a bit of track limits.
Well, he hates them, funnily enough, but I know what you mean. Same for Matt Wildman as well, in 5th place with a track limit warning. Track limit warning? They wish it would heat the tyres up a bit more, but no, track limit warning, and he's trying to get onto the back of these three, is Matt Wildman. Steve Bosley in 6th place. I'm not sure why I said he was highest of the Class 2, by the way. Of course, Miguel Hall is your highest place of the Class 2.
After all of these years of watching this series, this kind of thing doesn't stop just having me in awe. Joe Holmes has just done a 54.087. Just to put this into context, folks, we saw some high 53s yesterday in the E60 in dry conditions on brand new tyres.
Yeah.
These tyres that they're running on now have done all of the racing that you've seen this morning and all of the racing yesterday as well, as Colin McCone's just been destroyed by somebody in the background there. A 54.0 is by far the quickest lap time that we've seen today, and I don't think he's done. I think he could fit into the 53s at this rate.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack Bolton, we just saw there, challenging Kurt Holmes.
There he goes.
Battle over 9th place, and he's done it, a 53.982. Absolutely insane pace from Joe Holmes, and he's pulling the gap out. That battle over 2nd place where I went, surely they can't be judging, they can't keep up with him. Well, at the moment, they can't. They do not have a reply to Joe Holmes' pace, as now Jack Bolton is past Kurt Holmes over in the battle over 8th place. So now Kurt Holmes has the attentions of Stuart Jones and Jonathan Elliott behind him. 8 minutes left in this trophy final. We knew it was going to be frantic. It is. There's battles all the way through as Jack Bolton nudges those tyres there on the exit of Wilkins. They weren't in their normal position anyway, but I wonder if that one is going to accrue a penalty for him there. We knew it was going to have plenty of battles. What we weren't sure about was how much pace Joe Holmes was going to have. A 53.883 pulls the gap out by another 1.5 tenths of a second. I mean, make no mistake, Anwar Birel Smith and co are setting some pretty rude health pace themselves, but they just haven't got a response at the moment as Bolton feels the need to go defensive against Kurt Holmes.
Yeah, they've all turned it up in this last A final, which is exactly what you'd expect, but it's not enough. It's not enough at the moment to challenge Joe Holmes. As we're having a little look at the battle, I think, is that David Longman? Yes, it is. And having a battle with Oliver Moss.
That with Jack Bolton now on the tail of Jeff Lamb in the battle over 7th place. There is Lamb in the 91. There's your race leader, Joe Holmes. It's another fastest lap of the race, a 53.861, and still And Birel Smith has just set a 53.909, but it's still not enough. It's incredible, and you can see how you can see how he's breaking away just slightly from Miguel Hall. You know, Anwar is now on the pace that we were praising Joe Holmes for a few laps ago.
Yep.
But Holmes is just going faster and faster. Absolutely incredible display at the front of this one.
Matt Wildman, just to mention, is in 5th place. If things were to finish as they are now, that would be his best finals result of the year so far. There he is in the 131. A very nice helmet design, I should say. I really do like that one. Nice, simple, clear cut. You know, it's him on the scene. There's been a not so good lap from Chris Gristwood last time around, as Adam Wright's at the inside of Miguel Hall, has a little look, pulls in behind. Yeah, Gristwood lost 4 positions on that last lap. Goddard, Pritchard, Longman and Moss all got through. Penalty for Kurt Holmes for multiple pieces of contact.
Richard Allen, Jonathan Elliott and Stuart Jones battling away there, as Adam Wright is going to have a look through Christmas for 3rd position on Miguel Hall. He's got the job done, but Miguel Hall is going to get the switch back out of Inkermans. He's going to try down the inside of Ashby. Is he going to try, but he's just not got enough advantage on the brakes. Adam Wright keeps a nice wide line through there and hangs on, and actually it means he's been able to get a little bit of a gap now between himself and Miguel Hall. So that is Adam Wright up into 3rd place. And it's worth mentioning how Adam has been so consistent this year in the trophy finals in particular. 4th at round 1, 3rd at round 3, 3rd again, then another 4th and then another 3rd. He just keeps rattling off these top 4 finishes. He's king of consistency, which, you know, in some years would be championship lead with that consistency, but it's the consistency as well. And he is very much in the championship hunt, make no mistake, but it's just the consistency of Anwar Birel Smith and Joe Holmes that's just that little bit better at this stage in the championship, as we're looking at Oliver Moss challenging David Longman, wasn't it? There. That is still in the battle over 15th place. Here's Stuart Jones leading Jonathan Elliott. That's in 11th place. The battle for 11th place. But Richard Allen there. And in looking at this, actually, we are looking at the battle for the victory for this round in super heavyweights, because Jonathan Elliott is the highest placed of those at the moment. So the number 12 defending the number 26. They don't generally think about it too much to that extent, because of course it's just all about who can accrue the most points in general. They're all scored together, but they'll know, they'll be aware that they are both players in that super heavyweight class. As we just look there at Miguel Hall challenging Adam Wright a little bit more, but it's still as they were, as this train of karts in the mid-pack file through the top of the circuit. Currently headed by Jeff Lamb there in the 91 this pack headed by Stuart Jones. Look at this, Richard Allen having a think about going down the inside of Jonathan Elliott. We cut back to Kurt Holmes there, chasing Jeff Lamb. And here comes the battle. It's still Elliott ahead of Allen. New fastest lap of the race. 53.679 from Joe Holmes. Absolutely insane pace now. 3.2 seconds to the good. And Anwar 0.3 slower. They just don't have a response. They just can't find a response, as there's a penalty for Jordan Hawkins.
Jeff Lamb's raced really well today. He's trying to keep Kurt Holmes behind, but Holmes up the inside for 8th place. But Holmes does have a penalty. But yeah, Jeff's quietly got on with his work today. Hopefully will be rewarded with the top 10, but he's got a lot of drivers queuing up behind, including Stuart Jones there.
I think in my preamble to the race I suggested Jordan Hawkins wasn't in this race. He very much is, so apologies for that earlier, but he isn't having the best one at the moment. 23rd place, and he's just got a 4-place penalty for bumping pass. As the Stuart Jones pack are catching up, have caught up onto the back of the Jeff Lamb pack to make a
Miguel Hall's,
multi-pack.
sorry Howard, Miguel Hall's got back ahead of Adam Wright for 3rd place. Here they are, right back up the inside, going for the 3rd position into Christmas. Gets it done, textbook move, but is he a little bit weak now as they go down into Ashby? He's surely got to defend a little bit. No, just gets good drive as they roll down the hill. Curb warning, needs to be careful. These two are really pushing. They really are pushing. They're using all the track and a little bit more as they're allowed to. This will be a big, big day for Miguel Hall as well.
And Anwar has as Andrew was suggesting a few laps ago, he has broken away now.
Yes.
He's 2.7 seconds down the road, with Joe Holmes a further 3.5 seconds. The thing is, Andrew, that even when he's not setting a new fastest lap of the race, he's now setting 53 seconds.
It's just not good enough, is it?
I wonder if he's got a kart problem or his head's not quite in the game.
Battle for 6th place, Steve Bosley and Jack Bolton. Jack Bolton's had to work hard in this final as Nick Trafford is off. And Bolton down the inside gets past Bosley. That's 6th place for the driver in the number 6. Penalty for Craig Brown, takeout. I guess that's why we saw Nick Trafford by the side of the road.
That is going to gift 3rd place in Super Heavies to Richard Newton.
Yep.
It's worth mentioning. Unless he can make up for that in the closing stages, and I doubt he can, because the next time our leader crosses the line, it will be to start the last lap. It has been, I mean, there's been plenty of fantastic battling. Here is some of it. We thought it might be for the head of the field, but Joe Holmes saw fit to deny everybody that, because he has just been so dominant. Here he is. I mean, he's been driving like a dream. There is Anwar Birel-Smith, who himself, we must emphasise how impressive the pace of both of these drivers has been over the course of this race. Anwar Birel-Smith has just set a personal best of a 53.867. It's just that Joe Holmes has just had the measure on pace. This is the battle over 3rd place. Adam Wright versus Miguel Hall. Miguel Hall would love to secure that overall podium result, but either way, he is on for taking the Class 2 honours here in our heavyweights for round 7. Here, though, is Joe Holmes. I'm sure the G3 squad are going mad watching this one right now, because G3 Joe is about to take this one. He wins round 7 in highly impressive fashion, ahead of Anwar Birel-Smith in 2nd. Adam Wright will cross the line for 3rd, with Miguel Hall, highest placed of your Class 2 runners, in 4th. Matt Wildman will finish a quiet but very impressive 5th place. Jack Bolton in 6th, got by Steve Bosley in the closing stages. Kurt Holmes in 8th. Steve Bosley and Kurt Holmes round out your podium within Class 2. Jeff Lammin 9th. 10th for Alexander Lammin. Stuart Jones in 11th. Richard Allen in 12th to secure the highest finish for Super Heavyweights, just ahead of Jonathan Elliott. Good battle in the Super Heavyweights there. Alex Pritchard in 14th. Oliver Moss in 15th. 16th for David Longman. Paul Goddard rounds out what has been a very strong day for him in 17th. Chris Griswood in 18th there. Stephen Downs in 19th, but he has a penalty to be applied. Lewis Ridd in 20th. Craig Brown in 21st. Jordan Hawkins in 22nd. Richard Newton in 23rd is your 3rd highest super heavyweight runner today. Sean Briley in 24th. 25th for Dave Pethers. And Nick Trafford, we saw him having an incident at the boot, but he did carry on circulating and has crossed the line in 26th.
4th A final victory of the year, and I'm really glad to see how many happy drivers we've got coming in. Paul Goddard delighted, Richard Allen was delighted, and always really good to see. And well done, heavyweights. Another, same as Bayford, fantastic morning of racing.
Absolutely brilliant stuff, and that's half of the racing action we have for you here today at Whilton Mill. We're going to take a break here on the stream coverage whilst there's a break for the marshals to have lunch, general lunch break here at the circuit, and also a little bit of a test session ahead of the lightweights. But the lightweights will be out for you later. It's going to be
around 2 o'clock.
Around 2 o'clock, we're hearing. So we've got the best part of an hour now ahead of the start of the lightweights. But until you join us for that, and please join us for that, it is going to be as entertaining as what we've been treated to today. Do join us again later for your Alpha live stream, supported by Navos, technology solutions you can trust. Head to navos.co.uk. We've been Double Dash Motorsport Media doing the comms. Be sure to join us in about 55 minutes' time.